I mean, the part of this that I find fantastic is that MLB owns Rawlings.
Autumn,
18, actually. Morning, Bob.
Even my mother said me being on the left screwed her up yesterday.
Yes. He is.
Morning, AJC. Stumpy. Felipe, what time you got?
6:30 or 6 with 30 seconds. Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Final Thursday of 2022. And we asked the question, how the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hope your week's going well, and who knows, maybe this is your final work day of the week. How many people you think, Mark, are playing hooky tomorrow?
Quite a few.
After
at least a lot of half days tomorrow.
After celebrating Christmas on Monday. You know, a lot of people had Monday off, even though Christmas was Sunday.
I would imagine a lot of people had the entire week off.
Yeah. Well, certainly.
Because you only have to burn, if you got Monday off and you get Friday off, if they
Right.
work that way, you take 3 days,
Bada
don't burn a
bing.
lot of vacation.
A lot of people have next Monday off as well. New Year's Day being
Right.
celebrated in a lot of places on Monday the 2nd. So, yeah.
A lot of people.
Right.
Taking lots of days off.
Right.
Not here.
No. Hell
Football
no.
season.
Yeah.
Pat Kerwin told us we had to work.
Right.
Because he cares more that we're on the job than our bosses do.
Well, he's paying more attention. So we have to work. We could just get one of our guests to stop hounding us so much. We could have some time off. Sorry, Felipe. All right. Blame Pat Kerwin. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It was an interesting sports day yesterday.
Lots of news.
Yeah.
For you, I mean, you'd like to talk about nuggets?
Yeah.
Or nooks and crannies. This was either a 20-pack of nuggets or a couple of good English muffins.
Big English muffins, and the butter really filled up the nooks and the crannies, which I happen to like. I want to feel the arteries closing when I'm eating an English muffin. So, and yesterday was one of those days. You know, when you order 2 English muffins, one's not enough. People look at you like, man, you're a pig.
They never toast them enough.
Oh, really?
They never toast. You've got an English muffin almost as a homebred choice because you need to make sure it's properly toasted.
You like burnt edges, do you?
Close to. I want that.
Well, I'm there. If you go over, though, you know, that's like you want your meat a certain way. And if you go just a half a notch further, it's not good. So I'm with you. Right when you think the edges are going to burn, it's time for that toaster to go pop. I am with you. But quarterbacks being benched.
See, a lot of pops went on towards NFL quarterbacks yesterday.
Yep. Quarterbacks being told they're not playing. All right. Great night in the NBA with not 1, not 2, but 3 one-point games and a fight. I mean, we had more fights in the NBA than we did in the NHL, I think, last night. I don't know if that's true, but it just sounded good.
Maybe I will tell you this much. We had a better punch in the NBA game than we had in any fights in the NHL.
I'll tell you
Because
what.
he knocked him out.
Yeah, apparently he did.
I mean, it was a punch from behind. It was dirty and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it was a connection to the back of the head. And he knocked Wagner from the Magic, got knocked out.
Right. And I will say that's one of those. Is it Wagner or is it Wagner? All right. Because
It's Wagner.
It's
Oh,
Wagner,
Wagner.
even though it's W-A-G.
whatever.
Okay. But since he's European, okay,
Wagner got knocked out.
it looks like Wag, but it's actually Vag.
Okay, Wagner got knocked out.
Right. That's why it's Dirk Nowitzki and not Dirk Nowitzki.
There you go. So there we go. Just want to make sure, you know, we've got our basketball lingo down, Mark, because otherwise he's just going to jump in and correct us all day.
And that's always fun.
Right.
Because
instead of waiting
he's
till
the smartest
commercial.
guy in the room all the
Well,
time.
you know, when it comes to the association, you know, he feels as if it's his domain. All right. And he must keep it at a certain level. But we had LeBron returning to Miami last night as well. We had an epic college bowl game, which turned into, for some, an epically bad beat. I mean, up there. I mean, like probably one of your top 5 bad beats of the year if you had this game a certain way, which I did. And I'm still doing well. I mean, you know, I went 2-2 on the bowls with an epically bad beat. I mean, in fact, for the rest of today, I'm going to refer to Arkansas as Arkansas. Okay, when you screw that up that badly and cost me and others like me money, you're not Arkansas today. You're Arkansas. Against Kansas.
Fair enough.
So there.
Fair enough, because that was done.
Whoo-wee. That money was spent. That game was such a W.
Yep. There were a couple of those yesterday. There was one in the NHL. There was one in college football.
Yes.
But there were some games that were done, over.
And then, believe it or not, there's even a compelling baseball story. And it's not about, you know, who's signing where and for how much and what have you. We had more of that yesterday, as you would expect. Hey, you're not going to believe this. The Marlins apparently have signed somebody. The Miami Marlins are still in Major League Baseball. That's what I found out yesterday. Okay, because while everybody, and in their own division also, everybody is signing players. All right, they hadn't done a damn thing. Because, you know, the franchise is just so good. They don't need any additional help. And so they actually went out and signed a player, reportedly. It's not official yet. Reportedly, they signed a player. And I'll bet Major League Baseball had to, like, confer and go, are they Florida or Miami? I forget. We
haven't seen anything come through.
Right. I mean, they are Miami. Okay, all right, good. You know, make sure when you put out the thing, you say Miami. Wow, I forgot about them. Yeah. So that's good to know. They're still around. Nice to know. Okay. Good deal. See if we can, try to finish fourth again in the East. All right, good. That'll be good. So, what do you think of this baseball story, by the way?
I'm trying to figure out what to make of it. But the biggest problem, and what we're talking about, is that they're apparently last year, we're using 3 distinct different baseballs. A dead ball, a juiced ball, and a slightly juiced ball.
Is this like porridge?
Yes, it's exactly right. This baseball's too soft. This baseball's too hard. And this baseball's just right.
All right, which of course begs the question. So what baseball were the Yankees and Aaron Judge using?
Well, by all accounts, they were using the most juice ball.
So they using the soft ball or the
I think the hardest ball, or the
Okay.
ball that it's actually a weight thing. The balls weight a little bit more.
So it goes further?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So Major League Baseball. Now, see, here's also the interesting part of this. Mark, who makes the baseballs?
Rawlings.
Who owns Rawlings?
Major League Baseball.
Well, I guess we don't have to look very far to know who's behind all this. I mean, I don't think this is, those of us jumping to conspiracy here. It seems as if the evidence speaks for itself. So they were using 3 different baseballs?
That's by what
the heck? First off, why do you spend the money to make 3 different balls? Don't you just line it up and go, okay, we got the ball that we like. Okay, make 1 million of them. Go.
They had an astrophysicist worked with a team and an insider to get 204 baseballs used in 22 different parks during the season.
Wow.
When they conducted tests on the balls, there were old balls that were dead balls. And they had made this comment that, the Major League said because of supply chain and the pandemic that there were, but this was all supposed to be done when we got to 2022. Everything was supposed to be the same, uniform baseballs.
Well, I don't buy the whole supply chain thing.
I don't either.
In theory,
it's
the
their supply
baseballs
chain.
Also, the baseballs are made before the season starts. Okay, I don't think that they're making baseballs in July. I mean, the baseballs for the season are made after the 2021 season. They're made all off season, and then they're shipped out.
Now, MLB is totally saying this claim is completely false.
They doing like Colonel
baseless and wholly inaccurate.
Colonel Klink here. I know nothing.
No, they're actually going the other way. They are saying that it's not nothing. They're saying that this is totally inaccurate. It's baseless. It was an independent study done by an astrophysicist, and he's apparently a moron.
He's a liar and a cheat. So, 200-something baseballs, 22 different ballparks. Apparently, there's 3 different kinds of balls.
Right. Now, they all fall technically into the specifications of what the baseball's supposed to be. But some of them got a little more jump to them. That's just all there is to it.
So do we think this is like a golf ball?
Yes.
All right.
This is all of a sudden the Pro V1 came out and it just went farther.
But let me ask you this, though. Do you think it's possible that when they make the, whatever your ball of choice is, and they make however many of them, that some of them just happen to go a little bit further than others, and some of them then happen to go not as far as do you think it's possible that when they make all these golf balls, that you actually have some that, are just a little soft, just a little hard, and those that are just right? Do you think that that's possible?
No.
So like you've never bought a dozen balls and it's the same brand that you always use, and for whatever reason, when you're playing that sleeve of balls that day, all right, and you're like, man, these balls are flying today. Like you've never thought that.
No.
Okay. All right, just curious. And a lot of golfers out there, and wondering if you ever just open up a sleeve and you're like, damn, these balls are flying today. Or do you just take credit for it? See, that's how Aaron Judge feels. It's like, wow, these balls are flying. You know why? Because I'm Aaron Judge.
Because I hit it.
Right. See, and that's how you think when you're hitting it 10 yards farther off the tee that day. You go, you know why? Because I'm a man. I have got it going on today. That's why. Couldn't be this sleeve of golf balls.
It never is.
It's me.
You're damn right. Feel better about my game already, and I haven't played since Tuesday.
Hey, you nearly broke 80 with a couple doubles. That's I'd feel good about it too. But back to the baseballs. You think there's any there?
Yeah. I do.
Is it because you don't trust Major League Baseball?
Not one bit. And David, I would just think with modern engineering and in science that these manufactured baseballs are perfect every time. And if they're not, they have the ability to quality control them out. They want to see more home runs.
Well, but why would you make 3 different kinds of balls, though?
Well,
why would you even make the one that doesn't go as far? Could you explain that one to me?
Those were apparently the old balls. Those were not made in 2022. They were from
left over.
Yes.
Still on the shelf.
Correct.
Okay, well, but then they made them in a different year. So to me, I would take those out of the equation. Could you then possibly have the balls they made for 2022? Some of them went a little further than others. Do you think that's possible?
Is it possible? Yes. I think it's highly unlikely.
So you think some of Aaron Judge's 62, okay, that Major League Baseball helped?
Yes.
Miller and Moulton. We're starting with a good conspiracy theory. That's how we roll here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I will say,
Did you see Gundy?
I'm actually on Gundy's side. Okay. The timing of
The timing was wrong,
horrendous.
but to say I'm going to take away your credentials.
No, yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay. But I can understand Gundy being really bothered in a public setting right after the game being asked that question.
With players next to him, I get it.
It's a staggeringly, and he's apparently a really good reporter on Oklahoma State. Like Gottlieb all but said, he's like the best guy out there for information on Oklahoma State and all that. But he said the timing was, and it was.
The timing was horrible.
Yeah.
And he didn't just say, are you going to make changes to your staff? He said with the portal, like he went into with the portal now and everything's going on and staff changes already being made. Do you anticipate any staff changes being made? He didn't ask it like a dick. It's the only thing I will say. I listened to it.
He didn't. Timing, but this is where Mike Gundy and a lot of college coaches are just asses. They could just say, "Listen, my head's still in the game here. I can't think about tomorrow right now. You know, ask me that question in a couple of weeks. But, I'm going to take away your credential.
Fuck you.
Yeah, totally.
Boy, oh boy, has my wife jumped into your wife's fucking circle. She's given, some money to some Catholic charities and different things. I mean, it's 4 or 5 a day that are coming in right now.
Oh, once you start.
We got one from the Arbor Society. Like trees, like the National Arbor Society or something like that. I'm like, he's like, why am I? Because you give money.
Yep. Once the word spreads, man, they tell everybody, hey, this one over here.
We got one in Estero.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Wife caught me because I'm the one that checks the mail.
Right. Me too.
Okay. And so I just, I chuck all of the solicitation of funds stuff. Boom, 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 boom. And wife caught me the other day. She's like, what's this? I go, people asking you for money. She goes, well, let me see. I go, no. Nope. We're not giving any money. Nope. Not right now. Sorry. Not doing it.
Yeah, much better than my leaf project that I did, but that wasn't in high school. That was in middle school. Yeah, I agree, Adam. Here we are bitching about charity donations as you're giving us one. Thank you. Thank you. We don't have to share any of that money with the Twitch people either. That's all ours.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam, we're like that charity, all right, in which, we don't have any paperwork. We don't have any bureaucracy where that money gets caught up in. That money gets divided 50-50.
Between wings and beer.
Right. So the Ale House, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Rusty's, thank you.
See, Stumpy, I know you're trying to be funny there, but when he actually hits that Cheer 100, he's actually giving money to the show. Cash dollars. He does it every day. And Adam, it never goes unnoticed.
That's why it was very tough love when we put him on probation there for a week. But he turned out to be right.
He did, and I did see your ticket there, Adam. Adam posted his $1,000 bet on the Jags to win the Super Bowl ticket on our Facebook page.
That's unbelievable.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good show lined up for you today, at least we think so. Matt Cannata, Roy Cummings, and Dr. Roto. This is it, right? Fantasy?
Yes.
Playing for the whole ball of wax this weekend? Coach is really messing you up with what they're doing this week. Never mind the game tonight. I mean, the Titans are just flat mailing it in. They got 7 starters have already ruled out. 3 others are doubtful. You think they're going to play?
No.
The game has virtually no meaning. It could have meaning if it ended in a tie for the Titans. Otherwise, the game has virtually no meaning, and you know what the odds are of a tie. And the game is what appears to be no meaning for the Cowboys also. I mean, unless you think Philly's going to lose their last two, which is a tall order because they've only lost 2 of their first 15, and Dallas is going to win their last 2, then Dallas is locked in as a wild card, and they're locked in as the 5. They can't even drop to the 6. I mean, the Giants right now are the second best wild card team. They've only got, 8 wins? Most they can get to is 10. Cowboys already have 11, and they won the season series with the Giants. So Tennessee's gearing up for their showdown with Jacksonville. And Dallas might as well get everybody ready for a road game against the NFC South champion, which we in these parts hope is Tampa Bay. I mean, this is Alan Kirk's final game. And it might as well be week 2 of the preseason.
I'm glad you put preseason in. Practice squad delight coming.
Yeah, this is a spring game in college. This is what this is. Don't know what crew we're going to send to cover this. Is this one of those where, the analyst is going to go down on the field with a microphone? Maybe that's what Herb Street should do. He should be a guest official for this game. Be in the backfield talking with the quarterbacks in between plays. I mean, this game's got zip, zilch, nada to it. Cowboys are a 12-point favorite. It's up to 12.
It's up to 12. And you're right that the Eagles probably won't lose 2, but Dallas still has to play as if they have a shot at the 1.
Yeah.
This week, I think. I think this week you do.
I agree. You got to, put the pressure on Philly. Hurts is likely out again. So, okay. They have to beat New Orleans at home. They should be able to do that. But, they've got some injuries all of a sudden. Yeah, okay. But,
but what a weird
yeah,
week for the NFL. I mean, Jacksonville and Tennessee have nothing to play for. Dallas has virtually nothing to play for. We haven't had a lot of this coming down the stretch.
No, it's been a while. And week 18 could be crazy how many teams have nothing to play for. Now, I will say they've scheduled division games because the NFL has known this has been a problem in past years. And so they've tried to schedule, especially the last week of the season, all division games, thinking rivalries will take over, guys will play hard, etc. But anyway, last Thursday night game of the year is tonight. Dallas in Nashville against the Titans.
What do you think Amazon would give this year for a grade? Because the games have been bad.
Well, that you can't control. So if you're Amazon, I think their average viewership is going to be high single digits in terms of millions. I don't think they're going to average 10 million a game. I think they're going to average in the 8-ish range. So Thursday Night Football did 14 last year on Fox. So if you do half that or a shade over half that, I mean, we were asking this question in August. All right.
You and I were thinking 4 or 5 a game.
Yeah. You especially were thinking 4. Okay. It's been more viewership than I thought, A. And when you consider how poor the games have been, they put Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit in the booth. Very few people have criticized the booth. Now, very few people think it's a great booth. But most people are like, yeah, it's a good listen. It's fine.
But their pregame show is done.
I actually like it.
It's done fine.
I actually like some of the people they have on it. All right. I think Carissa does a good job. Love Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I like the dynamic with him and Sherman.
It's young.
Well,
I mean,
comparatively
to everything else out there, it is a lot younger.
Especially when you compare it. I will say you compare it to the Fox show.
Right.
I mean, this year for the first time, I've looked at the Fox pregame show and thought, wow, that show's old.
It really is.
Well, Terry's had his health problems, and he's physically had a rough year, and he hasn't been all that good on the air because of it. Jimmy's clearly in his final days. You know, Jimmy's already, I think, sent in his retirement papers. So, you know, it'll be Strahan and Howie, although they're going to keep Terry. I think they just signed him to an extension.
And I think they're going to put a lot of money in front of Gronk to get him on that seat.
I agree with you. I think they're going to try to, find their Nate Burleson, if you will. Yeah.
And they've been bringing Gronk in here and there. So, and it's worked when they've had him on.
So, all in all, I'd give Amazon a B with the potential of a B+. You know, they pulled it off. I mean, we're not looking at it as kind of like, oh, man, it's Thursday Night Football. And not only that, it's on Amazon, as if it's an inferior product.
The biggest complaint I've had is from the masses of Xfinity users, because you can directly go to your app on Comcast, but you can't flip. You're kind of locked into the app, and it's cumbersome to try to, during commercials, flip around to whatever else is going on. That's about the thing I've heard people complain about the most. But that has nothing to do with Amazon. That has everything to do with how you're getting Amazon.
Johnny Finger Lakes in our Twitch chat room gives it a C+, but finishing strong. He's holding out hope. Basically, maybe they could sneak into the B minus.
Really good exam and get that 3-point after all.
Well, remember in grade school, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Fourth quarter had a little more weight to it. So, let's just say you went CCBB. If fourth quarter was a B, your final grade could be a B minus. If you flip it, though, and you got 2 Bs, 2 Cs, fourth quarter was a C, where I went to school, Mark, you finished with a C+. Okay, fourth quarter just had a little more weight to it. It was the tiebreaker. Whatever that letter was, then that was the first letter, and the minus and the plus went accordingly. So it looks like Johnny's, he might sneak them into B minus. Might just make it there. I'll bet Al's in rare form tonight. Rare form. Knowing he's doing a preseason game. He's got the jet warmed up. All right. He'll be out of there 30 minutes after the game ends.
Well, and Herbie will be home 30 minutes after the game ends.
Yes, he will.
That'll have Al hot in and of itself, that Herbie gets to drive home to the game and he's got to fly back to L.A.
I'll bet Al mentions it a few times tonight.
There's not a doubt. If Herbie was smart when he mentions it, Herbie would just say, well, we got the spare room ready for you, Al.
So it'll be a very interesting dynamic tonight in Nashville, Thursday Night Football. You don't see this very often. 12 is the number, and it was 10.5 yesterday. I mean, it's just... the more players the Titans announce that are out, the more money's being bet on the Cowboys.
Miller and Moulton. Good show lined up for you today. Roy Cummings will be on the show. Matt Cannata to talk a little NFL football as well. And Dr. Roto to take all of your fantasy football questions to try to win you your fantasy football championship. We'll do a little DFS with him as well. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5, is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on Fifth Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Uh-oh. I wonder if my mother's getting back. Mother-in-law. This is
Do we have a backup plan?
Greyhound?
My guess is the backup plan is 2-3 more days with you. I see we couldn't have had this in the Arkansas-Kansas game, huh? And it's like, hey, congratulations. You know, we lost our last 4 games, but it doesn't matter. I got a contract extension. I'll make it 9. How's your offseason going to be? Adam, they have to. Don't take it the wrong way. It's an NFL rule. If you are mathematically alive for playoffs with 2 weeks left, you have to market selling of playoff tickets. It's an league rule. So the Jaguars are not, tempting fate and bringing it onto themselves here. So it's all good. Yeah, T-Camp. I had kidney cancer 2.5 years ago, and I didn't want to change my cancer docs. So I was lucky. I had it removed and haven't had it in 2.5 years. But I just want to keep my docs. So it means that 2-3 times a year, whatever it'll be, I'll have to at the very least come back to Southwest Florida just to go through exams and what have you.
And I was completely wrong. My mom they said she could change after 7 years, and she didn't. She still goes up to Moffitt twice a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Same reason you said. She's comfortable with the doctor.
Yeah.
He knows, he's been through the whole thing. He knows who you are.
Yep.
But I asked her, because I thought she switched, and she said they talked about it, and she said, but no, I still go up there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, T-Camp, thanks. Me too. I'll get results back next week. Oh, you mean 81 KW? The Reds had that happen too that year in Cardinals.
See that rink? How cool looking is that rink?
Oh, wow. Big sheet too.
Yeah.
I'm not up north. Thank you, Jake.
I'll film this right by my house. Damn. I do not need to see that bobcat in the morning.
Especially walking your dog.
Right.
I think you'd move faster than your dog.
He's hunting wabbits.
10 seconds.
I asked Felipe how were the things. He said they're good, and I'm not giving any of them back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Cannata, 1 hour from now. Roy Cummings, the top of the 8 o'clock hour. And Dr. Roto, 2 hours from now. We hold off until the final hour of the show, at least the final hour along the network part of the show, to take your questions for Dr. Roto. This is it. Chance to win the money. That's why we bring in the expert, Dr. Roto, in 2 hours. A lot going on yesterday in the sports world. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Mark. Do you think this is the end of Derek Carr in Las Vegas? The Raiders benched him yesterday. Will end his streak of 91 consecutive starts, second longest active streak. Who has the longest? Care to guess?
No.
The old man.
Brady?
108 consecutive starts.
Okay. All right.
For Tom Brady.
Look, at part of this is money. If they wanted to deal him and he gets hurt, they're on the hook for the guaranteed contract, $33 million next year. So they're trying to save any chance of being on the hook for that.
So do you look at this as a business decision, or do you think this is the end of Derek Carr in Las Vegas?
I think it's both. I mean, I think it's a business decision so they can trade him. I think it's the end of Derek Carr in Las Vegas.
He signed a 3-year extension before the year started, but this year's money is basically all the guaranteed money. I think there's like a little under $6 million that's officially guaranteed for next year. But you're right. If he were to play and get hurt, then $34 million becomes guaranteed for next year. So business decision, along with the fact that, listen, he has not had a good year.
Oh, he leads the league in interceptions, for crying out loud.
14. And, I mean, he did not look good in the last game in Pittsburgh. A game that if they had won, the Raiders would surprisingly be very much in the playoff chase. They would have been 7-8.
And think of all of the close games they've lost this year.
All but, I think, one of their losses. And
it's interesting. We don't give the Vikings any credit for winning all these close games, but
you and I do.
Well, yeah, but
we're the only ones, apparently.
But what the narrative yesterday was, well, Derek Carr and all these close games, and it's on him.
Right. But apparently Kirk Cousins gets no credit for the Vikings being 11-0 in one-score games. Right. And the rookie head coach.
It's actually, they're doing it because of his ineptness.
Right. They'd be winning by 2 and 3 scores
Correct.
if they had a better quarterback. Right.
In a year in which we've had more one-score games than ever before in the history of the league.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Making sure we're on the same page.
You're right. You and I are walking down a road entirely by ourselves on that one.
It's the same one with long college football games, too. Sometimes we stay on that road, David, and maybe we'll find a diner.
Mark. Never a bad time to find a diner.
Never. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
So looks like it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater. Tua, he's not practicing. He's not going to play. I mean, he's in concussion protocol. And I think the Dolphins are also doing the math and realizing a win against New England would be nice. But, if we had our druthers and we're only going to win one game the rest of the year, believe it or not, we'd probably take the home game against the Jets in the finale. But that's another story. The change was made late in our show yesterday. Carson Wentz is in. Taylor Heineke is out in Washington. Officially, Washington 6-3-1 in Heineke starts, officially. But they have lost their last two, at home against the Giants and on the road against the Niners. Heineke hasn't played as well the last two games as he did during the middle of that run. Wentz came off the bench against the Niners. You consider it garbage time or not, he looked good. Quick decisions. Looked better throwing the ball than Heineke. And moved them down the field and scored a touchdown. But it was garbage time. Respectfully.
Right.
It's
like
like
he doesn't like to throw it to his best receiver.
Well,
Wentz has a McLaurin problem,
which from a fantasy standpoint needs to be pointed out here because this is the money week. Yeah. So Washington controls their fate. Home against Cleveland, home against Dallas, and they could get the Cowboys with absolutely nothing to play for, resting starters before the playoffs the following week. I mean, this could, in theory, be the tougher of the two games for Washington. So, would you have made the move if you're Rivera? Because
I wouldn't have, because I don't trust Carson Wentz, David.
Also, this is fascinating in this sense. If one guy just looks better in shorts and a jersey than the other guy, which I will say, Mark, if you were to stand on the practice field to watch the two of them throw the ball, Wentz looks better. He's bigger, he's stronger, he throws a better ball. But in the games, he can hold on to the ball longer. He can make the big mistake lately, more so than Heineke. His ceiling is higher.
His decision-making can make the floor even lower.
There seems to be an extra trap door with Wentz.
Good phrase.
And there is
good
with
phrase.
Heineke. And if you're Ron Rivera, I mean, this is why they pay you to be the guy. This is a season-making or breaking decision right here. I mean, this is the type of decision. If he didn't have the clout and the gravitas that he has as a former coach of the year, taking a team to a Super Bowl, never mind the fact that he's brought class and professionalism to an organization which apparently has none. Okay, but I mean, if this is like, let's just say this was Brandon Staley,
it would be his job on the line.
Totally. No question about it.
And there would be articles written and columns written about what does he think? He's put his career on the line today.
Just very simply, this better work or you're done.
Or else.
So there you go. We mentioned it last segment. Cowboys, who are trying, by the way, with a win tonight, they'll get to 12. You know when was the last time the Cowboys had back-to-back 12-win seasons?
Got to be when 8 was playing.
Uh-huh. When they won their last Super Bowl. 94 and 95, the last time the Cowboys had back-to-back 12-win seasons.
You mean when they were the Cowboys?
Yeah, when they were the baddest damn thing out there, yeah. Mm-hmm. Titans have lost 5 in a row. 10 starters are likely not playing for the Titans. They've ruled out 7. 3 others are doubtful. Why would you play them when the following week you have the showdown in Jacksonville? Dallas minus 12, over-unders 39.5. I'll take the under. College football, UCF. Man, this season did not end well.
No, it did not.
Lost to Navy, which cost you hosting the conference championship game, then lost the conference championship game, and then lost the Military Bowl to Duke soundly. 30-13 Duke. A 9-win season for the Blue Devils. They've only had like 4 of those since World War II. It's not a joke. UCF ends the season 9-5. If you were to give a grade now to the season that it's over,
C+.
I'm right there with you. Maybe B-, maybe.
Maybe, but that
maybe
the way they finished, back to your earlier comments on how the fourth quarter went, it did not go well for them, David.
It did not. It did not. Arkansas won the Liberty Bowl by 3 touchdowns, or so they thought. And then Kansas, with 18 unanswered in the fourth quarter, forced overtime, including 2 touchdowns in the final minute. And they went 3 overtimes. Arkansas won 55-53. Here's the problem if you're like me. If you placed your bet before noon yesterday, Arkansas was minus 2.5. If you placed your bet after noon yesterday, Arkansas was minus 1.5.
Huh.
So I suffered a really bad beat to go 2-2 on the Bulls yesterday. Lost on UCF, ended up losing on Arkansas. Won the Holiday Bowl, had UNC in 13. Oregon did score in the final 30 seconds. Bo Nix, a touchdown pass on 4th down. Extra point wins it. Oregon 28-27 over North Carolina. Mark, what's the one thing we know about the Holiday Bowl?
It's always a competitive game.
Always. And had a hunch Texas Tech playing in the Texas Bowl would be far more interested in this game than Ole Miss. That turned out to be the case. Red Raiders 42-25, and they were a 4-point dog. We got 3 bowl games today. Being very serious. I know probably 2 handfuls of Noles fans in my life. They are all unbelievably fired up for the Cheez-It Bowl. If the team is half as fired up as Noles fans, they should win and cover against Oklahoma. They're a 9.5-point favorite today.
I've actually got it at 10 now.
Wow.
It's jumped, and it was, I think, at around 7-8 earlier in the week. This game keeps rising. Saw an interesting stat, and I've got to double check it, but this is Florida State's 4th bowl game that they've ever played in Orlando. They're 3-0 in bowl games in Orlando.
Go. And they're staying in hotels that are decorated with Cheez-Its.
Well, there's certain Cheez-It rooms.
What I wouldn't pay for a Cheez-It room. The Pinstripe Bowl, Minnesota's an 11-point favorite against Syracuse. I'm taking the points. I'm laying the points with the Noles, taking the points with the Cuse. And all the money's coming in on Texas in the Alamo Bowl. And yet Washington's a better team. And Washington has all their players playing, and Texas has had like 10 players say, I ain't playing in the Alamo Bowl. So I'm going to go against the money here. I'm taking the Huskies in the 3. College hoops last night. Florida lost a close one at 20th ranked Auburn, 61-58. Give it up to Missouri. You mentioned it. Packed house, big game. Kentucky came in and got whacked. It wasn't nearly as close as the final score of 89-75. And LSU began conference play, upsetting 9th ranked Arkansas, 60-57. UCF a winner over Wichita State, 52-45. Won Florida's women's team in action yesterday. FGCU hit 16 threes and beat Brown 89-75. Big night in the NBA. Home teams went 7-1. Detroit whooped Orlando by 20. There was a fight. Mo Wagner started it. Killian Hayes and Hamidou Diallo finished it for the Pistons. Heat beat the Lakers by 14. Jimmy Butler with 27.
Which made me 1-1 in my Florida bets last night. For the record, I had a really good betting night. I only lost the juice.
The 1-point games were Brooklyn, the lone road team to win. They won their 10th straight. They beat Atlanta 108-107. Zion with 43. Best game of his young career.
All the points were scored in the paint with the exception of 1 3-point shot that he made.
Pelicans 119-118 over the T-Wolves, and Sacramento with a big comeback beat Denver 127-126. NHL, Braden Point with 2 goals. Vasilevsky beat the Canadiens for the 11th straight time, 4-1 Lightning. Boston beat New Jersey 3-1. Penguins scored 4 in the first and lost. They had a 4-0 lead after 1.
At home.
Detroit came back 2 in the second, 2 in the third, 1 in overtime, 5-4. Good win for the Wings. Quickly in baseball, Red Sox had Corey Kluber. So they let Eovaldi walk at $17 million a year for 2 years. They signed the 36-year-old Kluber, who was with the Rays last year. Year before that, he was with the Yankees. I think he's just touring the AL East. 1 year, $10 million with an option for another one. I'd rather have Eovaldi. Yankees trade 35-year-old lefty reliever Lucas Luigi to the Braves for 2 minor leaguers. And the Marlins reportedly add a player. Hey, how about that? Gene Segura, formerly of the Phillies. 2 years, $17 million. He's an infielder. What's interesting is his primary position second, and the Marlins have an all-star second baseman. So I'm curious what's going on here. And then there's that story that you mentioned earlier in the hour about apparently there were 3 different baseballs that were being played in Major League Baseball with last year. One that was too soft, one that was too hard, and one that was just right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was...
You've heard, folks. That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
There we go. Now you're up to date. Now we can go forward with the show.
And the week.
Right. Yeah. We're doing a show tomorrow.
Get ready for this big Thursday night football game.
Yeah, baby. I'm more psyched for the Cheez-It Bowl.
So am I. Point spreads are similar.
In fact, don't you have to watch the Cheez-It Bowl with a big box of? I think it's a rule.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
to send somebody a text last night and say, hey, not planning on seeing you until Monday, but if by chance, some of the problems that are out there between El Paso and the airlines were to rear its ugly head, I'm going to get in a car and drive 9 hours to where you are, and I may have to jump on your plane.
Is he okay with that?
Is it okay if you're plan B? He's like, yeah, sure, let me know. Because apparently
more weather coming in?
Well, no, but because what they do a lot of times is if there are any available seats, all right, in areas where, there are, people crossing the border, they put them on flights and they send them. Like if you have family wherever, they send you. And so there are no, like if your flight gets canceled, it's impossible right now to rebook a flight for days out of El Paso.
Right.
Because every flight's sold out. So
wait, you're flying, the game's tomorrow.
And we're flying out 3 hours after the game.
So you're out, and where you going right to the Monday night destination?
No. We're flying to Dallas, and then we can't make it any further. So tomorrow we'll do the game, fly out to Dallas, stay overnight in Dallas. Then we'll both fly home, what's it technically, Saturday morning?
Gotcha.
And then I'll have 24 or so hours in Jacksonville. And then Sunday afternoon, I'll fly to Cincinnati.
Gotcha.
So basically, I'll go home unpack.
Well, that's good because you're flying Deltas direct to Cincinnati, right?
No, not direct. Once again,
hub too, and you can't get there.
Once again, it's
could get there from here, couldn't you?
It's so much better to fly out of here. It would have been a much easier season for me. I'm shocked, actually.
I'm not, because I knew this already.
I just figured with it being an NFL city that it would
be better off driving to Orlando half the time.
Yeah,
I know.
I know it's not. You know what? If it was like 90 minutes, I'd do it. But it's a good to the airport, especially
the airport, because you're going back. You got to go through Orlando.
And
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday of 2022. Heck, it's our second to last show of 2022. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So we had lunch. We had a late lunch yesterday. You, me, and our former producer. And he was unbelievably fired up about this Derek Carr news. Not for this year and not for the Raiders. But he's just like, listen, if I'm Tampa, that's who I'm replacing Brady with. And we both just kind of looked at him, and he was like, oh, absolutely. All in on Derek Carr.
I'll win the NFC South ever for the next 5 years with Derek Carr.
Yeah. He's like, absolutely. I'll take his contract. Done. Let's go. And I went, wow. And we both kind of looked at him like, he hasn't been that good this year. And he's like, get him out of there. McDaniels messed him up. He's fine. He's a good quarterback. And I will say, a year ago at this time, if we did the proverbial, list the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, he would have been like right somewhere between 9 and 12. I mean, he would have probably been 9-10. Like a year ago at this time, Derek Carr, Dak Prescott.
Derek Carr.
Yeah. A year ago at this time, Derek Carr, Jalen Hurts. You'd get laughed off the air a year ago at this time. So what if it's, hey, McDaniel's system, it's messed him up. He was in a system for many years, and it just also he had Devontae, but the other two guys were hurt most of the year, made a big difference in the offense. It's just one of those years.
He couldn't win close games.
but that was not the case the year before. He single-handedly took them to the playoffs, winning nothing but close games against good teams down the stretch.
I know. I'm not a Derek Carr guy.
And that's good to point out.
I'm not. I
Right.
don't think as highly of him as others do.
Correct. All right. But if we were to just and I understand we still have a season to play out for the Tampa Bay Bucs, and we're hoping for the best. And hell, Bucs fans are hoping, quite frankly, that who decides at age 46 he still wants to play for them. But let's just have this conversation under the assumption that 46-year-old Tom Brady is either working for someone else next year, and that someone else could even be Fox.
Right. But 3 different job options that we think are better than Tampa.
Right. He could be in Miami. He could be in Vegas. He could be in San Francisco, all sorts of places.
Right.
But he's not in Tampa Bay for one reason or another. Fine. So would you, if you were the Bucs, entertain the thought of, well, I'll take Derek Carr off your hands?
Well, let's first talk about the important facet with this. Can you outbid Indianapolis for Derek Carr?
Well, we'll say that would be a very Colts move. Let's see. Rivers, Wentz, Ryan. Can you give me another quarterback in his 30s? Okay.
I mean, literally, the first thing I saw on Twitter after the news came out that Derek Carr was no longer starting was said, can someone please Photoshop him into a Colts jersey now? So trying to think what else is going to be out there from a quarterback standpoint. You got Jimmy G.
Right. Now, Jimmy G could cost you Carr's contract. If you trade for him, then you are taking his existing contract. And it's our understanding that that'll be about $34 million against the cap next year.
Right. I thought it was 33.5 salary. Then the next year's like 7. I mean, it's really low. Or
In
the
terms
cap,
of guarantee.
the cap hit.
Right.
The guarantee is really low. So you're really only getting him
so
in your end for next year. Then you'll have to figure things out.
So let's just say for, now you're going to have to give up draft picks for Derek Carr. For Jimmy G's case, he's an unrestricted free agent. They can't trade him. They can't tag him. All right. So it's just going to cost you money to wrestle Jimmy G away from the Niners. In the case of Derek Carr, you're going to have to give up picks. And let's just say the salaries will be roughly the same. Because right now, cap-wise, you figure what Jimmy G will get on the open market will be similar to Derek Carr's existing contract and cap hit. So Jimmy G or Derek Carr?
I'd take Jimmy G.
Okay, fair enough. And we're right now just doing this as if you're Jason Light in the Bucs.
Yes.
Okay, you would do Jimmy G. Fair enough. Answer me this also, as has been pointed out by DC in our Twitch chat room. A year ago at this time, I mean, if we had said Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins, would have been Derek Carr. I mean, it would have.
It would have been.
Yeah, I mean, Cousins would have been in that 12 to 14 category of quarterbacks.
And I think one thing to me is that whole 9 to 12 thing, whatever. You want to rank them that way, you say 9 to 12. When you're in that 10, 11, 12, to me, you're closer to 20 than you are to 2, if you know what I mean. There's such a line of demarcation with the top 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks. Even after the first tier of greatness, there's the next tier. Derek Carr was not in either of those tiers. When you're in tier 3 of quarterbacks, you're just as close to tier 4 and 5 to me. That's all.
Okay. And that's proven out this year in his instance. There's no question about that.
And that's where those guys flutter. Cousins flutters between tier 3 and tier 4. And all of a sudden he plays a game where it's a tier 2 game. And then it's a clunker. Dak Prescott, same thing to me.
So Derek Carr, who's durable and who has mobility. It sounds like to you, he would never be on your list if you were Tampa for next year. Life after Brady, Derek Carr would not be an
Wouldn't
option.
be on my list.
Okay. I would consider him. He would be on my list. I think his body of work, I'm not giving him a mulligan for this year, but I would have to dive into, What do we think went on here? Was it really losing Waller? Listen, we've talked about the difference an elite tight end makes. I mean, let's be honest. We've never seen Mahomes without Kelsey.
Right. And look at Brady this year without Gronk.
Right. And so,
guy that we regard as the GOAT has played badly this year.
The Niners offense, think about what it's looked like with Kittle and without over the years. So, is it really, Waller's absence? Could you go, well, you take away the security blanket away from a quarterback and that's how he looks? It could be. Also, the other guy there, the Clemson walk-on, he was the possession receiver. He was 3rd and 6.
And Renfro's been banged up all year long.
I mean, between Waller and Renfro, those were his move the chains guys. And neither one of them's basically been there. Which is weird because Adams is obviously tremendous and Josh Jacobs has had a hell of a year, and yet they've still lost all these close games. And it's on the quarterback. You get the money, you get the applause, you get the boos, you get the blame. So Carr wouldn't be on your list.
Wouldn't be.
And that's fair.
Wouldn't be on my list.
That's fair enough. And I'm just one of those asking Bucs fans, if you're starting to think about life without Brady for one reason or another, is Derek Carr on your list? Is that someone you would like Jason Light and the Bucs to consider? You're going to have to give up some picks. Now, I would not give up a first. I would say to the Raiders, well, listen, no offense. If you're throwing him the curve, it's tough to make the argument he'd, get a 1. First off, he wasn't even a first-round pick coming out of college. He was a second-round pick. I'll play that game with you, is what I would say to the Raiders, because he's on my list. I would say, I'll give you a 2 1 year and a 3 the next. Or I'll have that second pick be conditional about
on starts, etc.
But I'm the first pick's not in the 2023 draft. I'm not giving you my first rounder. Not if you're throwing it in the curb. Come on now. Makes no sense. I'd be on the phone with McDaniels going, you benched him for Jarrett Stidham, for goodness sakes.
The problem is, if you are interested in Carr, you got to figure Indianapolis is in.
Yeah, but they ain't giving up the 5th pick of the draft.
No. The Jets.
Oh, that's interesting. Interesting. He said he'll definitely be on their list.
There's no doubt. I mean, after this year, I don't know. Are the Patriots set? I wouldn't think they're going to trade for a quarterback, but are they set with Mac Jones the way he's played?
From a cap standpoint, I don't think they could make that switch. It'd be difficult to imagine because Mac's on a rookie deal still, and Carr's would be $35 million. So I don't think he would make their list. No.
I don't think Detroit would be interested. I think they'd be fine with Goff over Carr. I don't think they'd trade for Carr.
Well, quick sidebar here. If you're the Lions, let's just say one of these quarterbacks is that you like, and he's on the board when it's your turn. I mean, that's an interesting decision in and of itself for Detroit, by the way, because Goff's playing pretty well. Hell, he may lead you to the playoffs. And are you going to, with that really high first-round pick, you going to take a quarterback? Are you basically saying, hey, Jared, love you. You're a placeholder.
Right.
Which, by the way, most people think he is.
Exactly.
So, but all right. So he's not on Detroit's list. Keep on going.
I'm just trying, he's got to be on the Saints list. He's got to be on Carolina's list.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And here's the problem for Tampa Bay. Well, not for you, but for me. Like, if you're the Colts, you ain't giving up your first rounder, but you'll give up your second. Well, that's right now the 5th pick of the second round.
Right.
So my second rounder is going to be
nothing.
15 picks later. So that's a problem for me. And the same thing right now, I'm still ahead of Carolina. I'm thinking I'm going to beat Carolina, win the division. So if Carolina's willing to give up a second-round pick, their second rounder's better than mine right now. So I'm getting outbid by many of the teams that you're saying, the Jets, you name it. They all, if they're willing to go with a second-round pick, which I think they would be, they're all right now making a better offer than I am. And I'm not prepared to trump it from a draft pick standpoint. So I don't know. Do I have to throw in a player? And that gets complicated because obviously we're not as good as I want us to be now. And I'm going to be trading away players. Never mind who am I trading away. Do you throw Mike Evans in for Devontae Adams?
Oh, boy. Here he goes. Well, the GM just started getting loose.
Hey, Devontae is clearly asked to get out of there. I mean, he
He said so yesterday.
Yeah, if you read between the lines, Devontae said, give me 2 weeks. I'm marching into the office.
I came here because of him.
Right.
It's the reason I'm a Raider. But we've got to get ready for San Francisco now. And we've got one after that.
Right.
Then I'm going to be in the general manager's office saying, trade me right blanking now.
Correct. So, I mean, you could now, if we're doing Devontae Adams and Mike Evans and what have you, I may throw in my first rounder. Now we're talking. Hey, this is the Raiders and the Bucs. They've made big deals before. Won one of them a Super Bowl. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Houston, Washington, New Orleans, teams that don't have a quarterback. Atlanta's going to go with Ritter. Pittsburgh's going
What's
with
Seattle going to do?
probably going to draft one, but
Probably. We didn't put Fields on that list. He's playing like a middle of the pack guy. At least running like he's running like a top 2 guy. Bad quarterback play this year.
can't believe I'm actually putting him down on the list. Daniel Jones. That is.
We could do this here. Just the bad quarterback play this year. Think of how many teams had just pathetic quarterback play this year. I mean, Tomlin, I was reading something yesterday. Tomlin was all geeky over one drive that Pickett had to win that game. He didn't play worth the shit. He's waxing poetically like it's the second coming of Terry Bradshaw. I mean, teams that you got Tannehill's on that. I mean, just
yeah.
I mean, teams that could Tennessee cut bait with Tannehill after this year?
Yes.
The Saints could cut bait with who? I mean, they could have
Dalton
a new quarterback.
Well, Jameis is walking, and Dalton
right.
Cut.
Carolina could have a new quarterback next year. Tampa could have a new quarterback next year.
Right, but right now you have to have Brady down.
No, I know. But that's 3 without him. Indianapolis will have a new quarterback next year. That's 4. Houston will have a new quarterback next year. That's 5. Atlanta essentially has a new quarterback next year. That's 6.
Although it's in-house already, so you can't count it.
Okay.
They don't have to go outside.
Arizona, Kyler Murray. He stays. They can't get rid of the contract. Right. Cleveland, he stays. Can't get rid of the contract. Washington may have a new quarterback next year.
Yes.
The Jets and Seahawks.
Ooh, I didn't put the Jets down. Seattle, it's funny. Seattle, I put Geno with an asterisk.
The Niners will have a new quarterback, but it's in-house.
Correct.
The Raiders will have a new quarterback. Rams go back to Stafford. Everybody else is the same. But then just bad quarterback play. Tennessee had bad quarterback play this year. The Saints had bad quarterback play this year. The Panthers had bad quarterback play this year. The Bucs had bad quarterback play this year. The Broncos had bad quarterback play this year. The Colts, that's 6. The Texans, that's 7. The Cardinals, that's 8. The Falcons, that's 9. The Browns, that's 10. The Commanders, that's 11. What do you want to call the Patriots? That's bad quarterback play. That's 12. The Jets, 13. The Raiders, 14. The Rams, by default, 15. The Steelers, 16. That's 16 teams, Dave, that have had what you could call bad quarterback play this year.
We got a minute.
Maybe it's why under's been the play.
You know what? We could do yes, no, or maybe so here. Did they have good quarterback play? Yes, no, or maybe so.
I'm in the process of getting a clutch play too, but
in the process,
yes,
it's 7:20.
I know. I couldn't find.
Well, we got 3 NBA games that were decided by a point.
No, I know, but I couldn't find
the Wings in overtime coming back from a 4-0 deficit.
I couldn't find the radio call of any NBA game, so I'm just doing Bo Nix, and then
Bo Nix at least qualifies. I mean, it's a game-winning touchdown pass in the final 30 seconds to win a bowl game. That's fine.
And then it's a 2-parter because the extra point was doinked in, but Gus almost had an aneurysm commentating it. So.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, joining us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Roy Cummings at the top of the hour. And Dr. Roto in a little more than an hour. This is it with the doctor as we play for your fantasy championship this coming weekend. Starts tonight. Cowboys, Titans. Nobody's playing for Tennessee. Do you possibly take a flyer on the backup running back for Derrick Henry because Malik Willis can't throw the ball and Henry's not going to play? So do you play the Titans backup running back because somebody has to get the touches and get the yards?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
All right,
I don't think you'll get many yards. And that'd be desperate. If you're in the, if you're in the final, you should be doing better than that. You should have something else there.
So we'll ask the good doctor one of those questions. Get your questions ready next hour and send them in for Dr. Roto in a little more than an hour. All right. Yes, no, maybe so. You asked for it.
Yes, no, or maybe so. Dun, 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 dun.
Did you have good quarterback play this year? Yes, no, maybe so. Now, we'll just take, certain teams out of the equation. Okay. We'll take Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Green Bay, the LA Chargers. We can
put yeses there.
Yeah. Minnesota.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll just take those off the board. You ready?
Right, I'm ready.
All right. Tampa Bay. Yes, no, maybe so.
Maybe so.
That's my answer as well. Baltimore. Yes.
Maybe so.
Okay.
Because of injury.
Hey, that counts. That counts. LA Rams.
No.
So forget the injury. Just you didn't think
he didn't play very well. Then he got hurt. Then they took him out. And whoever played beyond that was terrible.
Okay. All right. The Eagles.
Yeah.
Might win the MVP. The Cowboys.
Yes.
I agree. Plus the backup came in and went 4-1.
Yes.
So
tough to look at their record and say he's played. I mean, he's made some bad throws, but yes, they've had good quarterback play.
Yeah. Jacksonville.
Absolutely.
That's a yes, right?
Yes.
It's yes.
Sorry.
No.
Yes.
Miami. Yes.
Maybe so.
Whoa, look at that. Look at that.
Maybe so, David.
Okay. Fair enough. Cleveland.
No.
New England.
No.
Chicago.
Maybe so.
I say yes. He's got garbage around him. Garbage.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Detroit.
Yes.
Yes. The Giants.
Yes. Come on, David. Say it with me. Danny Dimes. Yes, no, maybe so.
I hate that nickname. Oh, that the New York media gave him. Hate it so.
Yeah, I know, but what's your answer on Danny Dimes?
Yes. Tennessee.
No,
I'm with you. San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. From everybody.
Well, Jimmy G was doing well, and Mr. Irrelevant there is becoming very relevant. So Arizona.
No way.
Indianapolis.
No.
Houston.
No.
Washington. Maybe so. New Orleans.
No.
Atlanta.
No.
Pittsburgh.
No.
Seattle.
Yes.
Yes. Geno Smith has earned the nod. Now, neither one of us thinks he's the future. We think this is like Jared Goff in Detroit. He's just doing a decent job as a placeholder. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. You're going to help this franchise in a really big way. I don't know if you're going to get a big contract extension, but, we're going to say as many nice things about you as we can before we cut you.
We'll let you ride this sucker out. Right until the guaranteed money goes away.
Carolina.
No.
Las Vegas.
No.
The Jets.
God, no.
Which is, if you're Mike White, you're taking this personally. I don't know what to tell you, dude. They didn't put you in early enough and you got hurt. So did we miss anybody? We missed a team there.
Yeah, Denver. No.
Oh, my goodness. That's right. I overlooked that. I was just trying to, not be so negative.
But from my count during the break, there's, I believe, 16 teams that you could say had bad quarterback play this year. Had bad to maybe so quarterback play this year. Over half the league.
Well,
or half the league.
It felt like more than half the league.
It really did.
I mean, we didn't have a ton of yeses. Now, granted, we took like 6 of them right off the board.
Exactly.
The big 3, obviously, Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Rodgers and Green Bay, Herbert with the Chargers. I mean, there's 5 right there. Whew. I don't know. Sounds like a lot of teams that need a quarterback.
And what's fascinating, David, is that I want to say we did this exercise a year ago and talked about how many teams thought they were set at quarterback.
Right. Well, Miami thought they were set. New England thought they were set. Maybe they are.
And Cleveland's set, but their quarterback didn't play well. Arizona's set, their quarterback didn't play well because they can't get out from under that contract. Denver's set.
Oh, boy, are they set.
Boy, are they ever.
Man, there's...
the Rams had bad quarterback play, but Matthew Stafford's their quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. This year, Kirk Cousins would probably grade out as definitely a top 8 quarterback.
Absolutely.
I mean, we'll say it again. The big 3, I mean, you could debate whether or not Cousins or Rodgers this year. I think you'd have to say Cousins, to be honest with you. But if you're still going to keep Aaron Rodgers ahead of him for the obvious, and you put Herbert ahead of him, and you put Jalen Hurts ahead of him. I mean, Hurts may win the MVP. But and then you're probably going Kirk Cousins, and that would be like 7th, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So part of the reason why the Vikings are 12-3, you think, is the fact that they're getting top 25% quarterback play in the league. I mean, they are. Now, many people don't think he's a top 25% quarterback, but the fact is this year, you can't name 8 quarterbacks who have played better than him. You struggle to come up with 6. And there you go. It's a big reason why you're 12-3.
There's been a lack of clutch quarterback play this year.
Yes, there has been.
But there's always time for a clutch vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you got?
Holiday Bowl, Bo Nix, clutch, touchdown in the end. This one's kind of a two-parter, so they get the touchdown here.
Nix drops back underneath. Touchdown, Bucs! Wow! Chase Cannata.
And then you get
That tied the game.
right. That tied the game. So now it's 27-27. Now you got the doink extra point going in, and listen to Gus Johnson's reaction.
Oh! Off the upright and good! He kissed it in! Unreal! Holy cow!
Gus Johnson, Fox Sports Television. That's our clutch vodka play of the day. That's clutch with a K. Check out Clutch Vodka at clutchspirits.com. Look for Clutch Vodka anywhere that you buy your vodka, and check them out at Seaside for those Dolphin watch parties. Clutch Vodka, that's clutch with a K.
Voice cracking a lot last night.
Man, do I love the in the doink of the post.
It hit the upright hard.
Oh, yeah.
And still went in.
That's like the effects when, we did the play-by-play of basketball and the network was televising it, and they say, hey, you guys want better sound? And they'd give us a little cord and we'd plug it into our little radio thing. And so we got the swoosh going through the net and it just sounded great. Love when you get that great goalpost sound. Doink. Boom.
But the extra point good, and Oregon wins in another great, close Holiday Bowl.
That's what they do, Mark. They do close games. You know what's going to try and follow in those footsteps? The Cheez-It Bowl later today. Matt Cannata next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Solid Oak Tree, do you really think Kyle Trask can start and play in the NFL? Because I don't. He's not even listed as their 2. Trask isn't listed as their 2, is he? Isn't it Blaine Gabbert, right? I mean, he's not even their 2, Solid Oak Tree.
I don't think he is.
What's up, guys?
Morning, Matt.
How are you?
Hey, Felipe, computer. There we are. Hey, Matt, good morning.
Morning. Hey, we just so you guys know, we launched CFN a little early, so it's live now.
Okay. Oh. All right. Well, good move. They're playing a couple important games this week.
Yeah. So it's been up for about a few days and about a week now, almost.
Good deal. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, you got nothing going on then.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. I mean,
head coaching search, GM search, College Football Network, Super Bowl playoffs. You know.
So, did your wife do well as Santa?
She did. Absolutely. Lots of presents. Lots of presents under the tree that I did not know about.
Here we go.
So when the kids were coming down the stairs, so were you. Like, wow.
As I said, I have to get in front of you guys to see what's going on.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour at this day and time all season long. Matt Cannata of Pro Football Network, and occasionally he taps the shoulder of a member of his staff, has been kind enough to join us and give us their valuable insight. And we've been promoting for a month now that Matt and the crew were going to launch collegefootballnetwork.com sometime early in 2023. He said, hey, we're like that Chick-fil-A drive-through line, man. We move quickly. All right. We got that sucker up and running now before the national semifinal. So it's Matt Cannata of ProFootballNetwork.com and CollegeFootballNetwork.com. So that's PFN 365, and that is CFN 365 to follow on Twitter. You can follow Matt on Twitter, Cannata, 2 N's, 1 T, PFN, Cannata, PFN. Matt, a belated merry and early happy. We know you're busy and you're tired, so we won't ask you, how are you?
That is absolutely correct, as all of us are at this time of the year. I was reading something the other day my wife showed me. She said the time between Christmas and New Year's, don't do a thing. You're not supposed to do absolutely anything, and don't care about what anyone says.
Yeah, good luck working in the football world.
I wish that were the case. Absolutely. It was funny. I told my staff on Christmas Eve, I said, get one story in, file one story, and then take off the rest of the day. I'm sorry, the Monday after Christmas. So Monday, the 26th. I said, file your one story, take it easy. Right. And then they all filed their one story, and then Nathaniel Hackett gets fired. So that just blew up. That just blew up the entire day.
Well, it's been a hell of a week between Hackett getting fired, the quarterback changes.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Let's start with Tua and what you think, how the rest of the season, do you think he plays for the rest of the season? How do you think this injury works out? And do you think the Buffalo game where the concussion that didn't happen plays a factor into all of this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so when I was watching that game on Sunday, I saw that play, which I presume was the play, and I let out a audible gasp because I saw his head bounce off the turf, and I was very surprised that he stayed in the game, got right back up, and then we all saw what happened in the fourth quarter where he melted down, and I along with many others and many analysts on TV, blasted Tua because of the way he was kind of looking at things in that fourth quarter. But Mike McDaniel came out, and Raheem Mostert even came out and said, like, something wasn't right. We could tell. Mike McDaniel was able to tell watching the tape. Raheem Mostert said he could feel something was off in the huddle during that fourth quarter, but he just didn't put 2 and 2 together, right? And so when you have 3 concussions, I was talking to my cousin last night, and he played football in high school. So obviously not at the same levels, but he was a defensive and offensive lineman. He suffered 5 concussions in like 2 years. And he said after the third one, it was just a jumbled mess. And like Once that third one hits, and obviously at a lesser level than what you're in the NFL, he did say, each concussion is different, each person is different, but usually, they abided by the rule of three there. Once you have three, if you should really consider hanging it up. And so he played a little more, suffered two more minor ones, and then said that was it. But for Tua, I don't see how any doctor is able to clear him for the rest of the season, just because of liability concerns and because of the guy's health as well. And I think the NFL will step in if the Dolphins say that they want to clear him, but I don't think they will either. I think we've seen the last of Tua this season and perhaps ever, unfortunately.
Well, and that gets us to, if you're the Dolphins right now, let's just take this season and put it on hold. Let's do a little sidebar now. Now you're Chris Greer and company. I think the very first thing from a business standpoint, right? You don't pick up his fifth-year option, and then the question is, do you bring in someone better than Teddy Bridgewater next year? Or do you go into next season with the same quarterback depth chart that you have this year? And if Tua has however many months, 8 months to not absorb a hit, does that then clear him of his concussion problems?
I don't think so, because, let me answer the last part of that question first. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to be, but from everything that I've read and talked to people about who do know these kind of things, like, yeah, you might have 8 months, but all it takes is another hit. And now trauma's kind of brought back to the forefront of everything. So, I mean, yeah, you could have some time off and so forth, but ultimately they all come together. Remember, Luke Kuechly retired at such a young age because of all those concussions. You feel terrible for the guy, and he's just a competitor, an ultimate competitor, and he will want to be on the field as soon as he's cleared. But I'm just not sure if that's the right thing for him and for his health and for his future. He'll decide that. For the Dolphins,
and we literally just lost Matt. For those of you on radio, something happened where his internet must have just bounced because he just disconnected on us mid comment. We hook up with Matt via Zoom call on a lot of these guests, and we've had unbelievable success. So I'm hoping that Matt reconnects with us here quickly.
That is a great tease, though. I mean, his last words are, but if you're the Dolphins, and then the connection went. I mean, a remarkable tease right there. But if you're the Dolphins. So hopefully we'll reconnect with Matt Cannata. Otherwise, I mean, I feel like an 8-year-old at Christmas, and I'm at the top of the steps, and I really want to run down them and see what Santa has brought, because we were just getting to what it is the Dolphins are going to do. And Matt's pretty connected with the Dolphins.
Yes, he is.
And so is Pro Football Network.
Between he and Adam Beasley, who does a lot of Dolphin stuff, they're pretty dialed in with what goes on in Miami.
So hopefully we'll reconnect with Matt. But, we think that the Dolphins need to come up with a plan B here. Here's the deal, though. I mean, if you're going to do better than Teddy Bridgewater, aren't you essentially replacing Tua? Because it's tough to thread the needle in between Teddy Bridgewater and Tua. I mean, it really is. I mean, what are you doing? Is that Andy Dalton-esque? I mean, you know where I'm going here. I mean, either do you make Tua your backup next year? Do you just say, I can't trust you? Physically, on the field, the whole deal, I can't trust you. Because he's either your guy or he's not. So you either got to recruit over him, so to speak, or so Matt, you were just starting to say, if you're the Dolphins, ...
I did a whole spiel, and then I looked and I was cut off. And so let me do it again. So if I were the Dolphins, right, the Dolphins don't have a pick until 53-75 in the draft. When you get to that range, the quarterback class really takes a big drop, right? And so you can't rely on that range to get your franchise QB. Yes, I don't pick up the 5th-year option. I don't think that's a great business decision as much as you want to for Tua the human. I just don't think that's the right thing. I don't even know if the Dolphins will be trying to force into that hole, because Tua may make that decision for them, right, if he decides to retire or hang it up. What I will say is a storyline that we all need to watch is Derek Carr being made available in Las Vegas now. He has left the team. He has been benched because of injury guarantees in his contract for next year. But he's going to be made available. He does have a no trade clause, so he can almost pick his own destination with that. Jimmy Garoppolo is a name to watch. But here's what's really interesting. We published an article on ProFootballNetwork.com a few days ago about paying Christian Wilkins, right? Deserves to be paid. And someone who is in the know with the Dolphins, doesn't work for them, but has very deep connections inside of there, said to me, watch Christian Wilkins because he may be used as trade bait for the Dolphins to land a first-round pick to get their franchise QB. So if you take maybe Christian Wilkins, maybe you package Xavier Howard in that deal, you're going to have to move assets for the Dolphins now to get their QB because, one, they traded the 49ers first-round pick for Tyreek Hill, and two, their other first-round pick was taken away by the NFL for Steve Ross trying to tamper with Tom Brady and Sean Payton and all that ordeal. So that is an interesting one to watch. If the Dolphins do try to move up in that first round for a QB.
Well, Matt, let's be brutally honest. That type of scenario, the team that you're talking to there, that's Detroit. Detroit needs help on defense.
Right.
Okay. And if Detroit's, for whatever reason, not going to draft the quarterback of the future when it is that they have the Rams pick, which right now looks to be like top 6.
Yep.
I mean, that's the team that the Dolphins would make a deal like that too. Here, we're going to take you over the hump right now, get you into the playoffs on defense. You give us that pick, we're drafting 2 as a replacement.
Mm-hmm. And the Lions right now, yes, they have that 7th pick as it currently stands today, and they also have the 18th pick as it currently stands today. And so you have to watch that, right? Would they give up a top 10 pick? Likely not. But you get that mid-round pick. There's enough QBs there where you can get in position and then maybe make a few more steps up the ladder there on draft night, or you get lucky and one of those top QBs fall to you. And it'll be very interesting to watch out. And I can't help, and I don't want to do it because we're talking about the health of a guy, right? But I can't help but think back to the draft when Tua was drafted, and the Dolphins were very, very interested in Jordan Love. A lot of people in that building were interested in Jordan Love. They ultimately decided to go with Tua, and just unfortunate circumstances all around.
All right. The one name you mentioned in there about the tampering of the draft pick is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He tampered once. He's going to be a free agent. Would they want the 46-year-old?
Would you want the 46-year-old? I mean, he feels like he's taking a little bit of he's fallen off a little bit of a cliff, right? This year. And who knows what that's going to look like next year. And I think of Matt Ryan, he played well last year. He played good enough and played well. And then he just fell off a cliff completely this year in Indianapolis. And so when you already have signs of that with Tom Brady, I don't want to say no, but then again, the Dolphins know they have a short Super Bowl window with that defense and Tyreek Hill and everything else there. So maybe, but that's a tough one. My gut says no.
What would Stephen Ross do though? And I'm with you. My gut and your gut are the same, Matt.
Yeah,
but the owner has a different gut than both of us, and he loves Tom Brady.
He does love Tom Brady, and they've even talked about minority ownership in the Dolphins for Tom Brady, right? And so Stephen Ross is so unpredictable that you don't know which way he's going to go, depending on his mood. But I wouldn't be surprised, let's put it that way, if Stephen Ross did make a move for Tom Brady after this season.
Stephen Ross is 83 in May, by the way.
Yeah, he wants to win a
right.
Super Bowl.
So, those of us that are like, you need to think long-term and what have you. I just want to point out Stephen Ross is 83.
Yeah, you're not thinking long-term at 83. Also, the Derek Carr thing, I mean, what happens to Adams now, Matt? I mean, if you heard his comments yesterday, that sounded like a guy that in 2 weeks is marching into the general manager's office saying, trade me right now.
Yeah, and he mentioned yesterday in that locker room interview that he's here because of Derek Carr, right? And Derek Carr is going to be gone. I mean, you look at his cap hit for next year, there's a $31.4 million dead cap. There's a $14.74 million cap hit. And that's going to be a hard contract to unload. But he's obviously not going to be happy. So they're going to do a lot of work with Devontae in the offseason to appease him. But it's not even like you could say, hey, we're going to bring in a new head coach because McDaniels is staying, right? It's going to have to be at the QB position. But which way at QB are you going to go that's going to possibly make Devontae Adams happy? And that's going to be a very interesting one to watch.
Well, we wondered, Brady leaving Tampa Bay. I mean, does Tampa Bay do something exorbitant? Multiple picks, including a first rounder, and to acquire both Carr and Adams? Maybe you send Mike Evans back the other way. I mean, we could get very creative here. Hey, is Byron Jones going to play this year at all?
It doesn't sound like it. The Dolphins have basically stopped short of saying that he's not going to see the field. I have no idea what's going on.
And if that's the case, you got to figure they walk away from that contract after this year. So can they afford to then walk away from Howard? I don't know that they can lose both in a year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so if you look at Byron's cap hit for next year, he'll be 31 next year. He has a cap hit of 18.85 million and a dead cap of 14.8 million. Right, that's a very tricky contract. So you have to then wonder if there is some kind of injury clause in there or something like that. Could be a post-June first cut to kind of bring that down. But Xavier Howard, you cut him in 2023. You have a dead cap of 33 million and a cap hit of 11 million. So that's, unless you're trading him and someone takes on that contract who's a piece or two away from the Super Bowl, then I don't see how you can outright release these guys. It's going to be very, very hard. And those are contracts that Chris Greer and company have gotten themselves into that are now backfiring on them just a little bit.
Would you have made the switch for Carson Wentz in Washington, or would you have stayed with Heineke?
Oh, I think because Washington's in the playoff hunt, you have to make that move to Wentz at this point because Heineke's kind of run out of his magic. If they weren't in the playoff race, obviously you're not looking at that. But I think the Washington has a lot of questions to answer at the QB position this offseason.
Matt Cannata, ProFootballNetwork.com, CollegeFootballNetwork.com, PFN 365, CFN 365. Follow Matt on Twitter, Cannata, 2 N's, 1 T, PFN, Cannata, PFN. Matt, thanks for everything all year. We hope to catch up again in January, and early Happy New Year to you and your staff. No one can take a day off, though.
Nobody can take a day off, not in this industry. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Matt Cannata, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
Glad we got him back. I have no idea what happened there.
I thought it was interesting that he kept talking about Tua never playing again. I mean, he kept taking the story and advancing it. Like it's his gut feeling. And remember, he's very connected with the Dolphins. Don't know if that's his gut or if that's his gut after also talking to some people.
Well, and there are a lot of others out there in the football world that are suggesting that as well. I mean, it is 3 concussions. You brought up the Sidney Crosby story several times that he came back from multiple concussions. That was a decade ago. Different world today. Don't know how that all will shake out with Tua. Miller and Moulton. We will talk Bucs next with Roy Cummings right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. No. Give the young man some help getting it across midcourt.
So I forget who in the Twitch chat room asked about the microphone on the goalpost. Usually, and I don't know if they did it, but usually networks attach a camera. You know where the base of the goalpost comes up and bends and connects with the crossbar? They put a camera just behind the crossbar on the top of that base. So this way, if the ball hits it, the field goal's good. Or if it's a pass that hits it, the ball's technically out of play because the camera's behind the crossbar. That camera has a microphone on it. And that's where you get the sound. You get the reverb sound. They don't have mics on the goalpost, but they usually have a camera with a microphone on the base that connects with the crossbar.
KW, you were gone yesterday when we opened your gifts, so I feel badly about that, but thank you very, very much for our shirts, sir. That was absolutely awesome.
Yes.
We saved it until David was in studio.
Which I can't believe.
Well, that was Felipe. I know
you wouldn't have waited, and I don't blame you. I wouldn't have waited for you.
Good morning, Roy.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
Doing great. How about you? Have a good Christmas?
Yes, very Merry Christmas. You guys as well?
Absolutely. I've got an 8-year-old, man, so it's still, Santa's still in full force in our house.
That's the most fun, that's for sure.
Absolutely. She got up at 2:30 in the morning and woke her brother up. Fortunately, her brother told her to go back to bed and didn't wake us up until 5.
Man, enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah, next year's a long year. At least it was didn't make it to 9 in our household.
Well, I've always thought that 9 is when, if she doesn't, she lies to her parents and says she still does.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, they start to figure it out. The brother will probably help. How old's your brother?
He's old. He won't. He's 23. He's from my first marriage. He won't say squat.
Well, yeah, okay. If he was 10 or 11, he would
then it's over. Exactly.
Yeah, he'd be the first to say, "What are you talking about? Don't you know? Let me show you where all the presents are hidden."
Carolina for the division, Roy. That's what we thought when the season started.
Absolutely. Nailed it.
With Sam Darnold at quarterback, too.
Oh, man. I thought they'd be up like 10 games on the division at this point.
But when we both picked the Bucs to win the division.
Right.
But we were both a lot higher on the Saints. In fact, I think I had them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we probably. I would have believed that they would have done something. I would hope.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it is the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. The final Thursday of 2022. That day, that time has meant all season long Roy Cummings. Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com. Follow Roy on Twitter, R Cummings, FHCN, R Cummings, FHCN. Roy, a belated merry and early happy. How are you?
I am very well, thanks. Coming off a very merry and hoping for a wonderfully happy new year for us and all the listeners.
Well, how happy is it going to be for the Bucs? Yesterday, some pretty good news that Jensen's back practicing. David thinks that means he plays this week. I'm not so sure. What are you hearing, Roy?
Yeah, Todd Bowles has already kind of tapped the brakes on that, the idea of him playing this week. You never know. I mean, that anything is possible. It would seem to me that he's a couple of weeks away. I would think that this is an option that they're looking at for the playoffs. Boy, it would help if they had him. But, how much would it help? I mean, is one center, playing for the first time in almost a year going to make that much of a difference? This center, yes, possibly. But I think I'm not sure that center is their biggest issue. There's just so many problems with that offensive line. But I don't think you're going to see him just yet. I think the playoffs is their goal at this point to get him back.
Well, let's just start at the tackle position. What do we think it looks like this week? Wirfs, Smith, Wells, any of the three?
Yeah, I think all three are possible. I think you might see some, interchanging there. I think Wirfs could play. Donovan Smith should be good to go. They're practicing, so that's good news. But again, everybody's kind of beat up this time of year. How effective are they going to be? I don't know that even if they're there, how much changes really. And it's almost at a point now where if they didn't play and they had to kind of come up with a different game plan to adjust to that might not be a bad thing, because certainly the game plan with those guys in there, expecting them to hold up for 2.5 seconds and give Tom Brady the time to scan the field, look for third and fourth options, isn't working. So, maybe they're better off if they just, play as if they don't have them, even if they do have them, if you know what I mean, and come up with a game plan that just allows this team to find a rhythm, find some consistency.
Well, we talk about the offense and the offensive line a lot, but Carolina last week ran for about 6,000 yards against Detroit. I mean, they gashed them the entire game, and Detroit's not a good run defense, but had played pretty well the 3 weeks prior to that. It looks like what Carolina's game plan is. Tampa's got to stop the run.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. As you would expect with a team, as pared down as this one is, as void of top-level talent as this one is, you really just got to go to the basics. And the basics are you run the ball and try to set up some passes, through that. And defensively, always job one is stop the run, and you worry about that the most, even against Tom Brady and the Bucs. Look, that's been proven. If you can stop their running game, which is pretty easy to do, it seems, this year, you can put them into some situations where they struggle to convert. So, it's going to be a simple game plan for Carolina. Why not? It's working for them. This is the biggest test, obviously. And if it works for a half and they're still in the game, well, they'll probably keep going. If it's not working at the half, they might make some adjustments, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if they just say, hey, all we got to do is go out there and take the ball away once or twice and we can win this game. So really interesting matchup here, guys.
Well, we think that Carolina is going to do just that. Line it up, say to the Bucs, we're going to run it, you stop us, and then we'll go to plan B. What we're wondering, Roy, and we're talking with Roy Cummings, Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com, talking Tampa Bay Bucs, is should the Bucs plan A essentially be the 2-minute offense? Because it seems to be the only time that they're pretty good. And, we could talk about the final minute against the Rams, the final 5 minutes against the Saints, but even against Arizona, they're down 10, 12 minutes to go. They've got to run the no huddle, and they get the ball 3 times and they score 3 times. I mean, we're not that smart, but it seems to be the only thing that's working at all.
Yeah, let's this is something that for whatever reason, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich have been hesitant to do outside of 2 minutes. And usually it's the last 2 minutes of the game, not even the half, really. But what's wrong with going out there and starting the game that way? At least you can't. I understand that you can't play the whole game that way. If you go 3 and out, your defense is going to be shot. They're going to get tired in a hurry. The weather is going to be favorable. It's probably going to be in the 60s, 70s. It's going to be a beautiful day. It should be. I don't know if it's going to rain or not, but heat, in terms of heat, this is the weekend to try it. You can get it done. It's not going to be a bad day weather-wise. But here's the thing. To me, yes, put this in the game plan earlier. Don't just save it for the end. Go out there and start off this way. Run the first 2 series this way. See if you can get a 2-score lead early and put Carolina on its heels, as opposed to what you've done in the past. So, or even if, you know what, even if you start off the first scripted plays in normal offensive mode and you get across the 50, then go to it. I think you can mix it in a little bit, and I think that would help these guys because it is so effective. It is their only real weapon, it seems, this year offensively. So why not use it a little bit more often? Can't use it for 60 minutes, but I think you can use it more often. So I like that idea.
You know, the other side of this too is that it's the only way they're able to seemingly get Evans in the game, because they if they don't run some sort of hurry up, as you mentioned earlier, Roy, when you're trying to look for second and third options and letting Evans get down the field, they just don't have the time to do that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that is so true. And you can see, you know what? You can just see it on Mike Evans' face, guys. He is so frustrated. Even on game day, he's frustrated. These guys live for game day, and he gets there, and he's like, what am I doing here? I'm going to get 3 targets today because we can't hold up. And it's hard. That's another thing. When Mike Evans first came here, I mean, you can put him in the slot. You can do a lot of things with Mike Evans. He doesn't have to be your go route guy all the time. He doesn't have to always be the deep option, especially when you got Julio Jones. Mix him up a little bit. This is the stuff I don't understand about Byron Leftwich. He's got so many moving parts that he can, interchange here and there, and yet he hasn't done it. We don't see those changes. I mean, line Mike Evans up at tight end or in the slot and make him and run a play out of that for him. I mean, there's other things you can do with Mike Evans than just line him up as the X or the Y and have him run go routes. There's more to it, but they don't want to. They haven't turned to that page in the playbook for whatever reason.
Roy Cummings, Bay News 9, PewterPirates.com. Follow him on Twitter, rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Well, you have to assume that since the offense is not that good, that you got to keep the game probably 20 or below if you're going to win. Yep. Do we think the Bucs defensively, they've had their moments this year where they have not held up. They didn't hold up the first time they played Carolina. Do we think they can hold up against a slam, bam, we are going to pound it at you? The last 2 years, you couldn't beat the Bucs running the ball at them. But this year, some teams have. Roy, with the season essentially on the line Sunday, do you think that defense can hold up to a power running game?
Yeah, I think they can, because you've got the bodies there. If Vita Vea plays, that's going to help a lot. The fact that Hakeem Nunez Roches is hurt, that hurts you a little bit. If he can't go, that takes away some valuable depth. Anthony Nelson not being there, that hurts a little bit. But I think overall, the linebacking core, the safeties, this unit can do that. They can do it, and they have to do it. I think this is one of those games where, as it was last year, as it was early in the season when the offense was struggling, they've got to be in the mode of we're going to have to carry this team. It's got to be like it was back in, back around the turn of the century, 1999, 2000 with Sapp and Brooks and Dunn and those guys. You've got to say, hey, give us 17, we'll take care of the rest. It's got to be one of those games, because I don't think you have to fear, Sam Darnold much. You know what they're going to do. They're bringing the run. So go out there. It's job one. Stop it. Designed against the run. If Sam Darnold beats you in this game, okay, he beats you in this game. You've got to stop the run.
What grade would you give Tom Brady this year? If you were putting out the report card for Tom Brady, what grade would you give him this year?
Give him a C plus. I mean, I think he's done a lot with what he's got, but in my mind, I obviously don't know all that's going on. The focus isn't there, and I think that's and you know what, the drive isn't there, guys. The drive isn't there. The passion isn't there. It's as if, and obviously he's lost something, and I don't know that maybe the family thing and the marriage and everything else and Giselle. I don't know how much did that drive him. Maybe it did. Maybe it drove him a lot. That's what I see. Physically, he's fine. If given time, he's still the Tom Brady that you see it in the 2-minute offense. But there's something inside him, those X factors, drive, determination, will, all those intangibles. Those are the things that he's missing, guys. And I think that's why he's only been ordinary this year as opposed to exceptional.
First 2 years, he and they looked like they were having fun. And even when they started off 2-0, it didn't look like fun. If you even remember, you go back to the first game of the year in Dallas, they won. It was ugly. He and they did not look like they were having fun, and for whatever reason. It's just,
you know what? He's lost Gronk and he's lost Giselle. I would say the two most important people in his life, except for his personal trainer. So, to me, those two marriages broke up, and when that broke up, I think I don't think his heart's all in it.
He's Roy Cummings. His heart's all in it when he appears with us. Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com. Follow him on Twitter, R Cummings FHCN, R Cummings FHCN. Happy New Year. Thanks for everything. We'll do this again in 2023 if you're up to it.
I'm all up to it for sure. Happy New Year, guys. Thanks for having me.
Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Dr. Roto joins us in 25 minutes. Start sending in your fantasy football questions. Text line 21,000. Twitch chat room. Send them in. 25 minutes. Get them ready. Time to win money with the weekly house call.
No worries from me. I'm not going to be interrupting anything. Nowhere near a playoff, David.
Gotcha.
All questions of winners. Winners in fantasy football. That's what we're talking about.
Felipe's kind of interjected some questions throughout the year. Now we'll find out whether or not he's still alive. Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. How on God's earth is this George Santos guy going to be able to keep his congressional seat?
Well, I have two questions. Unless they can charge him with a crime, which I think they can, maybe that forces him to resign right away. But otherwise, don't you have to special election him out?
Yes.
And
you have to.
I don't know what the local politics are there if you can do that.
Right. Okay.
I didn't say I was Jewish.
I said I was Jew-ish.
Holy blank. Wow.
I don't know if I want to. I'm going to ask Seth, not Samson. But since we have both David Sampson and Seth on regularly, does that make you and I Jew-ish?
Problem is, you might have to explain it beforehand.
No,
you think everybody is aware?
Samson's aware because
no, not Samson and Seth. No, I mean our audience.
I wouldn't do it on. No, I wouldn't do it on air. I would just do it.
Okay.
No. When those 2-3 minutes that we get before,
because I text Samson.
Yeah,
and I said, "Does that make me skinny-ish?"
Want to go Russ in his office here?
Do you have all the stuff in front of you? Let's see. Well, JB, Doug Peterson said yesterday there's no such thing as a meaningless game.
Did Troy have a parking spot in Dallas?
I don't think so. Never asked him that question.
By the way, I know you finally noticed. I've not been able to say it. We can do one of two things here. We can do Russell Wilson or what a bad parker Felipe is.
What?
You take 2 spots every morning. There's no room to ever get in next to you. You fully take 2 spots every morning. Every morning. Every effing morning. I back my car in. It looks really good. But I got it so close to the car next to me that no one can fit in that. He fit in yesterday. You know what he's driving? A fucking golf cart.
A Kia Soul.
Well, I will say it doesn't help your cause that the other car is parked right on.
But what's on the other side of him?
Well,
nothing.
Grass.
Grass.
He has. There's no
He's
doubt.
got plenty of room on the other side. But God forbid one of my tires touches something other than concrete. Every morning I will say every single morning.
You know what?
I'm already in a bad mood when I pull in every morning.
Ugh. So
first off, you took my spot because you parked over there for the first 6 months of your job.
I did.
A year. You parked over there for a year.
And then you know what happened, right? David left.
You took my spot.
No, David left. You want your spot back?
No.
Kind of sounds like you want your spot back.
No, I want you to park like a normal human being so that everybody can park in the parking lot.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Dr. Roto, in a little more than 15 minutes time, submit your fantasy questions via the text line, which is 21000. If by chance you've never texted before, but you're like, you know what, I'm playing for the championship this week, I wouldn't mind a hint. Well, then you have to send in FSN radio as the keyword, all one word, FSN radio to 21,000, and then that gets you through the security gate and you're good. If you are taking in the show on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, submit your question in the Twitch chat room, and we will ask it of Dr. Roto coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. If you were taking us in on the Miller and Moulton Twitch channel during that commercial break, it got heated. You and Felipe going at it, mostly you yelling through the glass there. I
needed someone in the room because for months this has been eating at me.
Yeah.
For months. And it got worse because whoever drives the company vehicles here at the building we're in doesn't respect the parking lot very well. They kind of just throw the vehicles wherever they should want. There are 3 parking spots directly outside the door.
Here we go.
The third one, which is a company vehicle here, is probably a little too close to parking spot 2.
Okay.
Felipe jumps in the first parking spot every morning. He backs in so everybody can look at his pretty car, his soccer mom mobile.
Here we go. So to review, the soccer mobile is in spot 1.
Backed in, looking very sharp.
And a company car is parked in spot 3, but they're parked right on the line that separates it from spot 2.
There's nothing next to spot 1 that you could go into the grass. There's room to go into the grass.
Okay.
But Felipe doesn't do that. He gets as much. You have a rental Kia Soul.
Right.
It is about the same size as my golf cart.
With a hatch in the back.
Yes,
that's what I'm driving.
Yes, you have a golf cart. Yesterday, you were able to fit your golf cart in spot 2. This morning, when I arrived, David, spot 2 was empty because the soccer mom mobile had taken up so much space in spot 1, you could not get the golf cart in spot 2. Is that correct?
I was here early. I avoided spot 2 because I already saw that there was a space problem, and I parked in spot 4 for the record.
So no.
But regardless, you have room in the grass. You have room. There's a tree that is 7 feet away. I've parked in that spot. I used to work here, Felipe. Okay, there's that parking lot's been the same since when I worked here and was fired. Okay.
Now I will say they do need to repaint the white lines in this lot. They have faded. People I don't think can see where it is they're parking. It doesn't help. Okay, I'll just get that out of the way.
But Felipe is a backer-inner.
Well,
which let's just put that out there on the text line. 21,000. Are you a backer-inner? And what are your thoughts about people who back into spots all the time?
First of all, everyone should back into a spot. They make modern cars nowadays with backup cameras for that exact purpose.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Those 2 lines that are in the backup camera, that's so that you can back into the spot.
Okay. I will say this also brings in other issues like a 2-car garage. You know, one person has to park. The first person in the garage has to park well enough, usually, for the second person to be able to then pull in their car, and there's just enough room to get out, etc.
And all those garages across America, apparently everybody backs in too.
Well,
because I've never seen that in my life. But leave it to the 20-year-old over there to tell everybody how to drive.
Now, this also gets us dangerously close. Felipe, question, is this just a work parking thing, or do you park, because you know the guy who parks in every parking lot that they're in which they park tires over the line. They're being a jerk, and they're doing it on purpose because they don't want somebody parking on either side of their car to get the dents and the keys and all that. Are you that guy?
By the way, his facial expressions have given this all away. So I don't even care what your answer is right now.
It's because you're lying on me.
Are you that guy that parks tires over the line so you end up taking 2 spots?
No. In fact, my tires are within the lines. and to the left of me is grass. And yes, I did not want to park in the grass, but if you want me to park in the grass,
God forbid,
I park
you
in the grass.
your SUV in grass.
No, I just parked it perfectly within the lines of the spot.
And only imagine the people listening to this within their own family, the parking issues that this is going to bring up with driveways. I must admit, I had to swallow a lot when we lived in Fort Myers and we had a 2-car garage and we put 2 cars in the garage, I think, for 72 hours. And we lived in that house for 20 years. And otherwise, we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, okay. Neither do we. My wife gets the garage.
Okay. And now the driveway, all right, my wife, love her, would take 2 bullets for her. That's how much I love her. Cannot park a car if her life depended on it. Okay. Can't do it. Awful at it. Okay. And my wife would park in a 2-car driveway, and driveway's obviously a little bigger than the garage, and my wife would park her car, in which I would be like, wow, I'm going to have to park out on the street, go get the keys to her car and repark it so I can park my damn car in the driveway. Never mind, get it in the garage. Okay. So some people are just, how shall I say this? Gifted. Okay. So that's how they park. And I can only imagine the issues that are now going to be brought up later today because of park spot 1, spot 2, spot 3. So you want spot 2 and you want sufficient room.
I would just like him, being Felipe, to be attentive to the rest of everybody's ability to park and not be so selfish.
You know what, Mark? You can take 1 and 2. How about that? How about you just park between both of them?
How about
I know you have a truck.
How about this? Felipe, you move to spot 2. You move to spot 1. It's bigger. You have the bigger vehicle.
See, there are other people. This is not just about the 2 of us.
But you 2 are getting here at 5:30 in the morning. It's not a lot of competition.
Well, there are others here that he takes a spot from. We've got the lady down the hall. There's a few other people. I just think Felipe is an arrogant parker.
Oh my!
Wow.
These are false accusations right here.
JB in our Twitch chat room, my bride pulls in and leaves the front tires turned. She never straightens them. It's not a deal breaker, but it bugs me. See, I just wondering the parking issues that are now going to be brought up. Remember, we're coming up on New Year and resolutions and what have you. This is when, spouses and couples, get some things off their chest. Changes we'd like to make in 2023. Honey, if it's too much to ask, could you park the car a certain way? I'm just saying, you guys may have touched upon something that our audience is going to take with and run with. I'm coming back next week, I'm hoping that this is resolved by then. I feel as if otherwise we're going to have a charity boxing match.
Can we?
Oh my! You know what? I might park in the front now. How about that?
If that's on the table, I'm in.
Seth is saying, Mark, that you're sounding like Get Off My Lawn guy. He says, I got to be honest.
That's fine. I am that guy. Right. I'm old now. I get my feet dug in and don't deviate very often. But I got a lot of frustration in life. That charity boxing thing sounds like a hell of an idea.
Put him up, Mark. Put him up.
Oh, boy. See, that's a local TV sports reference right there. That's what the local TV sports anchor would do. I was involved in about 3 charity boxing matches.
How'd you do?
Not bad. Not bad. We had to discuss beforehand, just say, okay, are we doing this or are we putting on a show? Which is it? And it was a little bit of each. One guy was like, we're doing this. Okay. The other 2, it's like, yeah, let's just make it fun for everybody. Oh, all right. We hope it's fun for everybody that Dr. Roto answers your fantasy questions. Get them in next.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. e-motorcycles. Check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I only turn my wheel if I'm parking somewhere that I think I might be towed, because if my wheel is turned all the way and they try to tow my car, they'll mess up my car. Now, Soph, you didn't have to reveal my secrets there, but yes, that is my secret now that it's out and open. And Mark just went to go take a picture of my car. I think who said that? To take my own picture. I will be taking my own picture. Trenton, there you go. Yeah, whatever. Oh boy, here we go. I know he's tweeting. I know he is. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness. You're going to tell me that that's not the minivan's fault?
Yes, it's the minivan's fault. But if you have a tree 8 feet away, you have enough room. Like I would park, if I were there, I would be parking partially on the grass, so I leave enough room for the next guy. It's having respect for the rest of the lot. You don't.
You know what? I like that tree spot. That tree grass area is my new spot. You know what? I think subconsciously I left myself just that tiny bit of room of asphalt because I'm wearing my new shoes today. These little Johns right here. And I didn't want to step in the grass. Okay, fantasy questions, go. I gave up 3 weeks ago, so fantasy questions, go. Mellow. Can we do a 9 a.m. segment remotely from the parking lot?
It's a great point, Johnny. Someone texted the show that there's a new sports station in Key West. WAVK 97.7.
Huh.
The phone number is 305 296 7511.
97.7?
Yes. He says new sports station Key West ? So I wonder if has it always been the zone? First air? No, it's the old one. It's the old one. It's been there forever. It's the same one.
Oh, okay. Is it Fox?
Yeah.
She looks better in it too.
Are you calling Roto?
Yeah. Pulling it up right now.
The Savannah Bananas are doing a barnstorming tour, kind of like the way the Globetrotters did, David.
Are they ever going to come to Fort Myers?
Well, no, because
not in the same league.
It doesn't matter. They're not. They're doing it like a Harlem Globetrotters barnstorm. They dropped out of their league.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They should. I would do it. There's part of me that wants to call them and call the Red Sox and say, what would it cost to rent JetBlue for a day? I'm bringing the Savannah Bananas in. They're coming to Jacksonville a bunch. A bunch. I mean, I looked at their schedule.
Roto's on hold. 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour is up and before the show is up in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. Dr. Roto has joined us at this day and time throughout the football season. He of drroto.com, DRROTO.com. Follow him on Twitter at the same Dr. Roto. You can hear him weekend mornings, SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. You can hear him twice during the week at night on the Better Sports Network. A belated Merry and early Happy, Doc. How are you?
Same to you and yours. Hope you guys had a wonderful holiday. And I wished Felipe a happy new year. He said he was happy fantasy football was over because it was too stressful.
Well, I have to admit, he's not alone. You know, all the underplays in the first half of the year, and it was, all the guys we had counted on for years. You've been doing this how long? 15, 20 years?
I think longer than that.
Okay.
I think I played my first time as a sophomore in college, and I was like, what is this fantasy football thing? It was like, when somebody takes let's just say a brownie that's laced with something and all of a sudden they become addicted to it. That was me in college, my friend.
And then he found fantasy football.
Hello.
That's what it was laced with. It was laced with fantasy football. Laced with pigskin.
But if zany is the category, all right, on a scale of 1 to 10, from a fantasy standpoint, how off the radar of a year was this fantasy-wise?
This is not meant to be disrespectful to people who have done well this year, but most people that I know that I respect in this industry have done very poorly this year. So when somebody says, hey, this has been my best year yet, it makes me wonder. So just so many of my friends, it's been horrible, really. And I'm in 2 finals this week, literally 2. And let me tell you, my quarterbacks in one league are Jalen Hurts and Derek Carr. Well, who would have ever thought, here I am in the championship week, and it'd be Gardner Minshew and Jarrett Stidham. That is what tells you about this year in a nutshell.
Well, and this is, now we've just jumped to the 18-week season, so it adds another element. But coming into with 2 weeks to go, Doc, I don't ever remember a year where you have games that are meaningless this week and there'll be meaningful games next week. It's got to make it frustrating as a fantasy player.
I mean, look, could you imagine that you have Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, and all of a sudden you hear the news out of Las Vegas that Josh McDaniels thinks that this is a great idea to bench Derek Carr, who's now said, hey, I'm not even going to show up anymore. Enjoy, guys. I mean, seriously. And what if you have Derrick Henry? What if you were some guy who had Adams and Henry as your first 2 picks? You literally have to be crying in your soup right now.
Which, of course, begs the question, what do I do? Like, gentlemen just in the Twitch chat room said, hey, I got Tua and Lamar. Well, right now, I don't know if Lamar's going to go. Tua's not going to go. So, Doc, what do I do? My waiver wire, do I go Wentz, Bridgewater, Mike White if he's available? What do you do?
Yeah. I'm probably going Mike White. I mean, I am. Wentz. Look, the Commanders are just reaching. When you don't tell me that Wentz looked good in the second half last week. They were down by how many? I think you and I would look good at that point. I'm not sure the 49ers are really trying. Wentz is a disaster. The problem is Heineke. They just don't trust Heineke enough. They trust him enough when he's hot, and when he's cold, they pull him. Teddy Bridgewater, his nickname is the bus driver because he gets you from point to point, but it's never really fast. There's nothing really great about it. Look, could Mike White be the guy who wins you a league? He might be. I mean, look, the Jets are a whole lot better with him than they were without him because Zach Wilson, I'm not even sure there's a spot in the CFL for that dude.
Well, Mark, we were talking, and, Doc, help us here. Talking with Dr. Roto. Get your fantasy questions in if you haven't. Twitch chat room or on the text line 21,000. Okay, they go to Wentz. Well, Mark, you're the one who pointed out, well, when Wentz is in, ball doesn't go to McLaren. What do you do, Doc, now that Wentz is the quarterback? When Heineke was there, McLaurin had numbers. We know what his numbers are when Wentz is there.
Mark was totally on point with that. Wentz does not like to throw in traffic. Well, McLaurin's always in traffic because he's their best receiver, but he was barely throwing to him. Do you know who actually got the most looks was Curtis Samuel, right? Because he was getting open and Wentz was not throwing to McLaurin. So all of a sudden, McLaurin becomes very relevant when Heineke's there because Heineke doesn't care. He's like, I'm just going to put it up there and let my players make plays. I like Ron Rivera, but somebody didn't think that through. You basically brought in an inferior quarterback who's going to hurt your best player. That's not really great for fantasy or reality. The only lucky thing is this week, I really like Brian Robinson. Cleveland can't stop the run, and I think Washington's going to pound the rock there, and I think Robinson gets 100 yards.
All right, got a question for tight end one. Evan Ingram or Dallas Goedert? Who are you going with, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, look, how do we not go with Evan Ingram at this point? I mean, this guy has earned our trust. I mean, every week, it just makes you wonder, how bad a coach Joe Judge really was. I mean, this guy couldn't get anything done. Evan Ingram goes to Jacksonville, and he looks like a top 5 fantasy tight end. I mean, really, next year, he's a top 5 guy. That's how good he's been. So, look, I like Goddard, but in the first half, he looked good. In the second half, he didn't have a catch. I'll tell you that because I played him in DFS. It was 3 for 67. I'm like, where is this dude?
Ingram, by the way, bet on himself. Signed a 1-year, like $10 million deal or a little less with the Jags. Bet on himself. Right now, Mark, right now, you're a GM. Doc, I'll ask you the same question. You can go from fantasy or reality. Gesicki and Ingram are both on the market next year. Who would you draft?
Well, I wouldn't draft Gesicki if he's playing in Miami.
Well, he's not going to be.
Yeah, I know. I got to see where he's playing, but I would lead Ingram.
Yeah, I think it's Ingram. And you know what the beautiful thing is about tight ends? They're so disrespected when it comes to contracts. That's actually, I don't know if you guys realize this, I'm sure you do, is that's why the Vikings went and got Hawkinson, because they didn't want to have to pay another receiver big numbers, because receivers are getting Bobby Bonilla type numbers right now. So it's Ingram probably get 14 mil. He'll probably get 14 mil a year. It's still cheaper than paying a receiver 25 mil. So I think Ingram and Gesicki is going to get a good contract from somebody too. He's not a bad player. It's just an offense that doesn't cater to him.
All right, Zay Jones or D-Hop? Who are you going with?
That's a really good question. Is it possible to go with the Cards? Maybe. I mean, I think we think Colt McCoy is going to play. At least I do at this point.
Yes.
So if he's going to play, he knows how to throw the football. I think if Colt McCoy was playing last week, Tampa actually loses. So give me Hopkins, but it's close.
Another Zay Jones question. Adam wants to know a flex. Do I go James Cook or Zay Jones?
Okay, so let's just dispel every Zay Jones rumor, myth, whatever. He got soft last week. He did. The Jets' pass defense is tremendous. So it's not that he sucked. People cannot panic. Oh, my God, this guy was terrible. Let me get him out of my lineup. He's great. He just went up against a bad matchup. He's got the Texans this week. Not a bad matchup. So feel free to play him. I don't trust James Cook at all this week. I don't. This feels like it. There are James Cook games and there are James Cook not games. Last week I had him in my lineups. This week I don't.
Goff or Rodgers, Doc?
Ooh, 2 guys I really like this week. Oh, man. I will play Goff because I think that he will absolutely kill this week. But trust me when I tell you, I like Aaron Rodgers. Those are two props I like. Both guys going over. Aaron Rodgers was embarrassed against the Vikings. You don't think he circled this game on his calendar? You know Aaron Rodgers. This guy holds grudges for life. So I've got to think the Vikings' pass defense has been absolutely horrific. The only guy who didn't do anything is Matt Ryan, and that tells you everything you need to know.
Mr. Butte in our Twitch chat room asks Pickens or Olave.
I just don't think you can trust Olave right now. You just can't trust the Saints right now. I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, I don't like what I'm seeing with the Saints. I think their offense has been a disaster. So I just can't roll with him, and I don't know if he's 100%. So that team really needs to make some changes in the offseason because there's talent there. It's just not being used well.
James Cook or Zach Moss?
Yeah, so Cook can give you the big play, but against the Bengals, how many touches do you think he gets? I'm going to say 8. I think this feels like Singletary. Nyheim Hines has been involved. He's just not a guy who's going to get 20 touches. Zach Moss in that game against the Giants, he should see, 15 carries. Look, the Giants are going to win that game, but man, is it going to be boring. This game has like 20-9 written all over it.
Giants will take it, though. Win gets them in the playoffs, and that would be a cover. I am surprised the line's under 7. I mean, have people seen the Colts? I'm a little surprised that the line is under 7.
Why do the Giants always play bad in a big spot? I mean, but that was with other coaches. That wasn't with Dable. Maybe they show up today.
Wide receiver 2 question, Debo or Lazard?
I do like Lazard a lot. I do. Like I said, I like Green Bay a lot. And I don't think Christian Watson plays. So if Christian Watson doesn't play, I like Lazard and I like Romeo Doubs. I think he's a guy I would absolutely pick up off the waiver wire. If you're looking for that guy, we can't do anything yet. Don't do anything yet until we get confirmation that Christian Watson is out. Because Christian Watson did have that hip, hasn't practiced. He's been dealing with a hip injury. If he doesn't play, you get Romeo. Where art thou, Romeo? He's in your lineup.
Sounds like that's a DFS move as well, too, Doc.
It is, because I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers is going to light them up. So Vegas is usually right on a lot of things. I think they're just way raw on his prop.
All right, someone asked, do I start Trevor Lawrence with Darren Waller or Dak with Dalton Schultz?
Probably Dak with Dalton Schultz. I mean, the Titans, we know, have a bad pass defense. And now without Derrick Henry, this could get ugly quickly. This could be, 30-0 at halftime. And the interesting thing is, it doesn't really matter. Tennessee could lose this game 100-0.
Well, and that leads to the follow-up. Mark asked it earlier, but there are so many teams. Like Tennessee's holding out 11 starters. There's a half a dozen teams this week who you could argue are in meaningless games. Do you therefore have to avoid those teams and the players in them? Or like tonight, Henry's backup. Somebody has to get the touches. And even if they lose 38-7, the backup running back could have 120 yards in the lone touchdown. I mean, do you avoid these teams and games, or are there a couple of bonus opportunities?
I guess the best answer, and it's a non-answer, is it depends. Is Haskins somebody that's worth playing? Probably. Right? Because he should, like you said, get a ton of touches. But it's not going to be Dontrell Hilliard. It's going to be Julius Chestnut and Hassan Haskins. So my guess is Haskins gets film tonight, right? Film is 20 touches against Dallas's awful defense. That could be worth 60 yards and maybe 3 catches for another 20. So all of a sudden you're like, wow, this guy got me, 12 fantasy points. So I think it's on a case-by-case basis. So for the most part, my answer is you tend to avoid. But if a guy like Zach Moss, for example, got tons of touches, you're going to get a ton of touches again this week. So you want to avoid, especially when it's some random receiver. But if it's a running back who that Malik Willis is going to place the ball in his hands, that's always a good sign because Malik Willis can't throw it.
Final question for Dr. Roto.
Oh my God, that's so sad, Dave.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. The season's ending.
Oh my God, I'm depressed.
We could just bring you on in January or February for the hell of it. We could talk about sports. We could talk about parking spots. But in all seriousness, you've been in many a championship game before. You're in 2 this week. Do you do anything differently?
You play the guys in the best matchups. So you look at it and you say, I know Alan Lazard has done nothing for the last 4 weeks, and he hasn't felt like he's been fantasy relevant since week 10, and you throw that all out the window because she's playing the Vikings, and you know that Green Bay is going to show up that game. So you don't go crazy. You know, benching Stephon Diggs, you're not benching Jamar Chase. You play your super studs. But those guys, those outlier guys, you sit there and you say to yourself, okay, I like Zay Jones, but Alan Lazard's in a better matchup. So you don't want to go home. And the most important thing, don't have any regrets. This is your championship game. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody. Listen to yourself. Seriously, I can give you all the advice in the world. It's your team. Be comfortable with your team, and good luck, and hope everybody wins.
He's Dr. Roto on Twitter, DRROTO. And use that and add a .com, and that's his website. He gives out tremendous fantasy advice. He's assembled a hell of a staff. If you follow him, you realize winners and money being made literally every night through him and his staff. You can listen to him weekend mornings on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio and 2 nights a week on the Better Sports Network. Doc, we said it earlier. We mean it. A belated merry and an early happy. All the best and health to you and your family in 2023, and we'll talk soon.
Happy and healthy to you guys and to all the listeners. I hope it's a great 2023, and I can't wait to be back next year.
Thanks for everything, Doc.
Okay, bye, guys.
Dr. Roto and drroto.com joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
You have to have been in this business a long time to acquire the name Dr. Roto.
Yes, that's true. I just didn't realize he considers that he started his career as a sophomore in college. You know, I don't think he was getting paid. That was kind of where I was coming from, you know. Then again, well, we've had jobs where we weren't getting paid either. Miller and Moulton.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You know, I went to whole wanting 1,000 followers. Now my question is, will we get to 1,000 followers before the end of this show? And I mean, not this show. I mean,
the show.
Right.
I think we will.
So let me get this straight. Texas's quarterback, Quinn Ewers, is one of the highest rated college football players of all time, according to Max Preps. And now they're getting Arch Manning as well.
Arch Manning's not going to play next year. Quinn Ewers is going to play next year. Arch is going to get redshirted. Quinn Ewers will then be 3 years removed from high school. He can go to the draft after next year.
Okay. That's insane. Oh my God. These damn Texas quarterbacks.
I'll tell you what, Jimko, that would be the place to do it at, because that parking lot is a cluster blank.
Huh. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday of 2022. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, and our final thoughts all coming up in roughly 40 minutes time. I got my bowl extravaganza for the day. Went 2-2 yesterday. We're 16-9 on the bowl games, and that's 2-2 with an awful beat.
Are you going to need your own segment tomorrow to do the weekend bowl extravaganza?
May just have to post them on Twitter.
Or floridasportsnetwork.com.
Huh. Yeah, I guess we have that. Yeah, could do that. Sure. Send one to Felipe and say, hey, help an old guy out here if you can. Like helping him with his groceries across the parking lot, if you don't mind. I guess I could do that. Got some big games this weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Point spread's a point apart, and yet, better chance of an upset if we asked people that. Wouldn't everybody say Ohio State?
Absolutely.
No one's given TCU a
chance.
And they're 7.5, Ohio State 6.5.
We'll say this, no matter what TCU's down by, they're not out of the game. They've come from behind in so many games this year. They're tough to close out.
True. They haven't played anybody that likes Michigan, but K-State's pretty good. And they were behind him both those games, pulled one out and damn near pulled one out. So that's true. That's true. You got to love a veteran quarterback in college football. You always feel that team is, Max Duggan. Game of his life against Michigan, right?
Absolutely.
We're not looking at him as a pro guy. He could be, but we're not looking at him as it. But right now, he's like, man, that's a damn good college quarterback. 4 or 5 year guy. Awesome. Biggest game in the history of TCU football. Certainly modern TCU football. They won a Rose Bowl. They've had some good moments with Gary Patterson. There's no doubt.
And look, it's not the biggest game in Michigan football history, but it's so important to them. This last year left such a bitter taste in their mouth, getting just destroyed by Georgia. When you work that hard and you reach the goals that Michigan reached a year ago, to then be trampled in that semifinal game, that is stuck with the maize and blue all year long.
The scenarios are not identical, but it has a bit of a Duke basketball, 1990, 1991, got drilled in the title game by UNLV by 30, then came back the very next year and was playing an undefeated UNLV team in the semis. And, of course, pulled off the upset on their way to Coach K's first national championship. Michigan cannot lose this game. They cannot lose this game and show their face.
Exactly.
They just can't. And the Big Ten really can't have Michigan lose this game either.
There you go. It's so funny that you said that, because as you were talking, for the first time maybe in my life, it dawned on me as you were saying that it's not just big for Michigan. This is monstrous for the conference. In as much as the conference doesn't root for their teams the way the SEC roots for their teams, Big Ten fan has got to be, with the exception of Buckeye fan, because you're pulling for your own team. Big Ten fans going, come on, Michigan, you got to get to the final game here. You got to beat TCU. You can't screw this up.
Yeah, forget the rivalry for a second. I just think in terms of matchups, it's going to be tough. For as much as Ohio State would love to get another crack at the maize and blue, I think they're looking at that game going, well, listen, it's going to be tough enough getting by Georgia. If we do, can we face TCU in the final? Gut feeling right now. We're going to get 2 good semis?
No.
Okay. Point spread says we should have 2 good games. 2 essentially 7-point games.
One of them's going to be a blowout. Just the way that it goes. And I think Michigan's going to whack TCU. TCU wasn't a top 40 preseason team. They have been incredibly fortunate to get where they are this year.
Is TCU the Vikings? Let's face it, until the very end, they had won all the close games, all the one-score games, coming from behind. Think about how they pulled out the Baylor game. That's a 6-6 Baylor team. On the road, the 2 late scores, including the, lot of poise. Got the 3 and out on defense after they cut it to 2. Got the 3 and out. Got the field. Quarterback leads them down. Remember, they were out of timeouts. They ran the ball, ran the field goal unit on as the clock was running, and calmly that kicker just executed the 40-yard field goal. Just, little 3-quarter wedge there into the middle of the green. Just, got it right there. Ball game. I mean, they've shown a ton of poise. A lot of heart, the whole deal.
Yes.
But, the Vikings, obviously, we give them credit for 11 one-score wins. So now TCU.
I just think Michigan's tougher. And they're tougher than they were a year ago. And last year made them tougher. I think TCU is going to have a little bit of that excitement that they just got there. And I think the moment could be too big for TCU.
Well, and I thought we saw that last year with Michigan. That's what I'm wondering is that, do you remember when Alabama played Kyler Murray in Oklahoma? And Oklahoma just freaked out for the first 30 minutes of the game. They were just, it was way too big for them. You looked up and it was 28-0. And then after that, Kyler Murray and Oklahoma were terrific. But the game was over. It didn't matter. And that's, Michigan last year. I mean, it looked like somebody turned on the bright lights on the big stage and they went, oh my goodness, we've been doing dress rehearsals with the lights off. I mean, Michigan, I thought, was freaked out last year.
Yes.
And Georgia also let them know, we're not Ohio State, okay? We're a little meaner, tougher. You're a different animal.
You don't block us the way you blocked Ohio State. There's nothing finesse about this defense. What we do is pin our hands down and come after you.
Right. And by the way, our last game, we got beat by Alabama. We're in a bad mood, just to let you know. I mean, it was one of my favorite stories is the first time Ali and Frazier fought. All right. And Ali was whispering to Joe, every time they were clenching and go, you're fighting God tonight. And Frazier finally at one point said, well, God's in the wrong place tonight. Okay. And that I think, was Georgia last year for Michigan. And Michigan was in a bad spot. I don't think they realized it. But that defense with all those guys who got drafted in the first 3 rounds.
But think about it from Michigan's standpoint, too. What Harbaugh and Michigan had endured up to getting to that game. His job was on the line all the time. They were trying to run him out of Michigan.
And they were genuinely just so happy to be there. I mean, they
remember finally beat the Buckeyes.
And Michigan fans last year were giddy.
Giddy. My best friend's got his master's degree at Michigan. His brother got his undergrad. His other brother got his master's there. They had a busload going down. He's like, we were back in the parking lot by halftime. Well, what happened? And they were, when they got there, I mean, I remember him calling, we've got a bus, we're going to the game, we got all these people, we're doing this, and it's going to be so great. Never was, we're going to beat Georgia. Right. That was never part of the sentence. It was just, we're excited to be there.
Can you believe we're in the party? Right. And I'm just wondering, is that going to be TCU to some extent this year?
I think so.
And Michigan, meanwhile, this is a business trip. This is a business trip. We got to win this game this year. And we want Georgia. You got to admit, if you're Michigan, you'd take either one. But
you want Georgia.
You want Georgia. You want Georgia.
You've already beaten Ohio State.
Right. They whooped us last year. We haven't lost since. We want them. But pressure on Michigan. Let me ask you
pressure
this.
On Georgia.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt. But not like the pressures on Michigan. I mean, honestly, as disappointing as it would be for Georgia, okay, they do have that skin on the wall. I mean, they can go, bummer. Oh, well. get them next year.
Right. We'll take that number one recruiting class and get right back after it.
Right. And by the way, there ain't nobody in the East beating us next year either, so we'll be all right. But we know how SEC fan, all of a sudden they root for teams they would never give the time of day for during bowl season. It's the most crazy phenomenon that, we see in the sport. Big Ten fan, which usually, if they're not a Michigan or Ohio State fan, let's face it, there's two teams they don't like.
Michigan and Ohio State.
Right. So now and you're not, I would say, a Big Ten fan, but you obviously went to and graduated from a Big Ten school. Outside of Ohio State, and even with Ohio State, Big Ten doesn't win a lot of college football national championships. I mean, Urban did it in 2014. Tressel did it in 2002. Lloyd Carr got a share of one in 97. Do we want to backtrack? I mean, that's 3 in 25 years. And do we want to start going backwards?
Yeah, it's not a fun experience.
Ohio State in 68.
Right.
Okay. I mean, Big Ten doesn't win a lot of college football national championships. They got 2 cracks for one of them to do it. It'd be the 4th one in 25 years. It'd also be the 4th one in 50. I mean, does Big Ten fan here all of a sudden this weekend become SEC fan and go, you know what, damn it, I don't like you two, but win?
I don't know. I'm not that way.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you as a Michigan State grad, I'm not that way.
Well, and that's why I asked.
And I have the utmost respect for people who went to school at the University of Michigan.
Yes.
It's a great academic institution.
Right. You speak glowingly of the school, hate the football team. Right?
That's about right.
Right. I'm just wondering, though, this is an opportunity,
I want Michigan to win because I want to see Michigan and Georgia. I don't want to see TCU in the championship game. I just don't think it's as good of a game with them there.
But you don't want them to win because they're representing something.
Bingo.
Gotcha. I'm just curious if Big Ten fan, and we got a lot of them listening right now.
B1G. B1G.
Leaders and legends. Leaders and legends. No? Too soon? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Paul, I would argue that Georgia fans have always been obnoxious. They just never left the state of Georgia. Now that they're traveling, you're realizing what they are.
Right. And also, nobody listened to them.
Right. No one paid attention to him. And Paul, I don't know. Are you a Florida fan? Because I could see where you would be, because Florida fans are as obnoxious as any fan base I've ever encountered. And if you're a Florida fan, I can see where you'd be really bothered by Georgia fan right now, because they are saying, hold my beer with the obnoxiousness.
Paige Spiranak with a funny tweet.
She had some kind of health scare, apparently.
I don't know. Her entire life's on Twitter.
Yeah, no, she put it on Instagram. That's the only reason I know. I don't pay that much attention. That is great. Story on the Post. Marriage ceremony going on in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
During the ceremony, I guess where they're on the other side of the water, a grizzly bear takes down a moose.
Wow.
They film it. That is fantastic. She's all freaked out in her white dress. That's pretty funny. Yes, we did. I agree with Johnny Haha. I think the Buckeye fan base is the most obnoxious fan base in the country. Florida's fan base is not far behind, though.
Facts. Here we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly, what's on tap. Today was the day when, along with some final thoughts and predictions, all roughly 20 minutes away. Crazy sports day and night yesterday and last night. Two quarterbacks benched, Heineke and Derek Carr. Mark, you think it's the end of him in Vegas, or are they just CYAing it and keeping their options open?
No, I think he's done in Vegas.
If you're Vegas, do you really think you can do better than Derek Carr next year?
No.
What if Brady's? Because remember, he was
right
linked there when he was coming back,
and now McDaniel
and right. I just wondering. And the whole thing was, remember he said, they stayed with that blankety blank instead of choosing me, and the whole thing was that Jimmy G or was it Derek Carr? And you could see where, Brady, Devontae Adams, that would calm Devontae down.
It certainly would.
You would think that would calm him down. For those that say Aaron Rodgers is untradeable. Take a look at the contract. Take a look at the cap hit for the Packers. It doesn't work next year. They can walk away after next year and move on to Jordan Love if they want to and absorb the cap hit. But it would be staggering if they did it now, and I don't think it makes sense. But just from a business sense, for them to walk away from Aaron Rodgers now, wow, they wouldn't have 3 cents. Even with the cap going up $30 million, they wouldn't have it. It's a huge hit. Brady, Waller, who's the little wide receiver? Renfro, Adams, Josh Jacobs he's a free agent, but then again, he might stay if he knew who was coming.
I know it's Tom Brady. I get it. He's played like a C+ player this year, and he's going to be older next year.
I understand that. Tell you what, though, it's his offense, though. I mean, it's his offense.
Right.
I mean, it's the offense he ran with the Patriots with weapons in a better environment. And by environment, I just mean climate. Remember, it's a dry heat, Mark. They play indoors.
It's a dome, so it doesn't even matter if the heat's dry or not.
So I'm asking you again, if you're the Raiders, realistically, right now, do you think you'll do better than Derek Carr? Are you essentially saying we're going to do a reset here?
If you're Brady, San Francisco, Vegas, Miami, Tampa, where would you go?
San Francisco. And I would do it for the division. Okay, I'm only doing this if I'm Brady because I want to win. Why I wouldn't go to the Raiders, no matter how good it, quite frankly, looks on paper, and could check all your boxes. Dude, you're in the AFC West. Got to go through Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, now you did it. You've done it as a wild card before, but I mean, come on now. The AFC, where all the quarterbacks are, it's not only you got to go through Mahomes and the Chiefs, you got to go through Josh Allen, which is another reason why, if Miami,
Allen. No.
I may not appear as good on paper as you think because, it's not like when you were in New England and you guys were the top dog. You ain't the top dog anymore, even with you. Ain't happening. Now, you put me in the NFC West. No. We're the team to beat. Oh, and we're in the NFC where there are how many really good quarterbacks?
Tampa's just as easy as division to win if the line's coming
back.
Well,
I agree, though. I agree with that. But, going to the Niners and where they're at, roster-wise, development-wise, versus where Tampa's at, no, I would go to San Francisco.
Okay.
And play in front of mom and dad. and close friends. That's the other thing. If I'm leaving my kids, if I'm going to move 3,000 miles away from my kids, one of the big things that worked in Tampa's favor, Giselle and the family wanted to move to Florida, A, and B, quick 2-hour flight to his son in New York. Okay. Never mind the fact they had a place there. Okay. I mean, by all accounts, Brady said, believe it or not, Tampa was a lot more attractive to me than people thought. I wanted to stay east. I wanted to be in a good weather place, chance to win. I looked at their roster, their weapons. I liked it. And it worked for my family at the time and the ages that the kids were. I'm thinking if you're Brady, A, if you're going to keep playing, you've got to win. He's not having fun this year.
Nope.
So
and I don't think he likes how the coach, I don't think he likes what's going on with Bowles and Leftwich, so I think he would leave. I mean, if it was close, I think San Francisco would win out there.
So that's why if I'm going to go 3,000 miles from my kids, and this is going to be a rough 5 months, well, I got to go play in the damn Super Bowl. And I think I can do it here. But that's why, and with Derek Carr, if he gets hurt in the last 2 games, it guarantees next year's contract. Right now, it's not guaranteed. Only like $5 million of his $35 million is guaranteed, so they could take that hit and move on. But I mean, come on, you're benching Derek Carr for Jared Stidham. I mean, that's a joke, right? I mean, that's a late night talk show joke.
No, that's reality.
Whew.
That's what's going on. And they're not happy about it inside the locker room in Las Vegas.
Nor should they be. Carson Wentz in Washington. Good move. Yes, no, maybe so.
It's got to be maybe so. I've got to see him win. Carson Wentz has been a disaster when he's played.
Dr. Roto's a no. He's not even a maybe so. He hates the move for Washington. And he definitely hates the move for McLaurin. As did you. First thing you said.
I don't know if that makes Dotson or Samuel a DFS play this week, but something to consider.
And it looks like Teddy Bridgewater, not just now, but we had Matt Cannata on a couple hours ago. If you missed any of these, Roy Cummings, Matt Cannata, Dr. Roto, download the podcast, floridasportsnetwork.com. But Matt Cannata, Mark, sounded like a guy who thinks he's seen Tua play his last game, not just in 2022.
Yeah, he really was speaking as if it was Tua in the past tense as a football player,
which I think's a little extreme. I would say, hey, to take a deep breath here.
Charles Woodson said the same thing, by the way.
Yes, he did.
So Cannata's not the only one expressing those concerns for Tua.
I would like to know, and now, granted, everybody and their concussions is different, but I did bring up the Sidney Crosby example earlier in the week for a reason.
I wonder if the Sidney Crosby thing happened now, if they would have been able to get him through that. I really do.
So you think the Penguins under the league would have shut him down now versus, he sat out 100 games. Right. Over 2 seasons. I mean, they did not rush him back. In fact, he was out a long time, started to work out to come back and started experiencing symptoms again, and then sat out another 2 months. But for whatever reason, they figured it out. It worked out, and he's played 10 glorious years since in a sport that
is every bit as violent.
Yeah.
So when you brought that up a couple of times, I just wonder if they could even get away with that in the NHL anymore.
See, it's funny because usually you think 10 years later, the advances in medicine, things would be better. But now with all the concern that they genuinely seem to have now, or at least their lawyers have.
There you go.
You're not insinuating you don't think the NFL cares about Tua, do you?
Not one bit.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, basically they had capped out their revenue, the Savannah Bananas. They can't make any more money. They sell at every home game, so they started doing about like a barnstorming tour. They're like the Globetrotters. The difference is that they say that basically it's just like the Globetrotters. They're going to put on the same show, but there is no predetermined outcome. They're playing a baseball game. They played a road game like they played one of these last year. They started doing it because if they're up to bat, if you catch a foul ball, it's an out. They lost a game because a fan caught a foul ball. After the one thing I found interesting is after they did a documentary on ESPN, where is it here? ESPN2 carried one game in conjunction with the Banana Land documentary release. It drew 186,000 viewers. 49% were between 18 and 49. Baseball right now, 18% of their audience is between 18 and 49.
I saved a tweet that Alexi Lawless sent out yesterday. Yes, that's right.
See, it must have been retweeted because there's no way you're following him.
I'm not. He said, how would I improve soccer? Examples. Make the goals a little bigger. 2 points for goals outside the penalty area. 35-yard shootout instead of PKs. Kick-in option instead of throw-ins. If you want to kick it in, you can kick it in. Hockey penalty box for player punishment. So put a team down a man for a couple minutes. Offsides only applies in the last 35 yards. Handball simply is any ball contact with hand or arm. So he would actually make it stricter.
I think the one thing I've heard more people say that's not even in there is unlimited substitutions. I'd be like hockey.
Well, just being able to come back in the game also. Because once you sub out, you're out.
That's why unlimited substitutions would.
Right. Just reinstating your point.
Yeah, Jules, I'm the same way. I actually want to inquire and see if there's a way to make that happen. Might need somebody with money. And you got a lot of money.
Wait a minute. And then we're going to ask them to spend it on the bananas?
No, we're going to make money
I'm
with
joking,
them to
I'm
bring the
joking.
bananas in. We're going to get rich.
Like bigger? 2 points for a goal that's scored outside the penalty area? A 35-yard shootout instead of penalty kicks? I think that's too. Instead of throw-ins, you could give the team the option to have a kick-in from the side.
I like that a lot.
A hockey penalty box for player punishment. I like that.
I like
idea.
that. Mm-hmm.
Offsides only applies to the last 35 yards. I would change the offsides in soccer. It's way too strict for my liking. I mean, if a finger is beyond the guy's buttocks, it's offsides. It's crap. It's absolute crap. I think the entire body has got to be beyond the last defender.
You know what we got to do? We got to make the XLS and
no
all these rules in there. The XLS.
I also think, by the way, once you're inside the penalty box area, there's no offsides.
That I'm more for than your other offside. I think you got to watch some Premier League before you start criticizing the game.
I'm not. I just thought that was an interesting tweet.
I do too, but I'm just saying because the World Cup is so much more defense oriented than like Premier League soccer. They're not just sitting there trying to play for 0-0 ties in those games. That
Fair enough.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton with Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We are doing a show tomorrow. We are also doing a show Monday. Pat Kerwin scheduled to join us tomorrow. We're working on Michigan and TCU guests to preview that semifinal. Yesterday was the Ohio State-Georgia semifinal preview show. If you missed it, floridasportsnetwork.com.
Download it.
I need a clarification before you continue.
Okay.
You know the 3 bowl picks that I am planning on picking today.
Right.
Since the show has started, one of the games has moved by a point. Now, the reason this is relevant is I suffered a horrendous beat yesterday when I had to make my picks during the show and in between the show and kickoff of Arkansas, Kansas, Arkansas went from being a 2.5-point favorite, that's a loser,
right,
to a 1.5-point favorite, that's a winner.
Yes, it is.
So now in the Cheez-It Bowl, Florida State, which at the beginning of the show was a 9.5-point favorite, is now a 10.5-point favorite.
Well, I have it at 10.
Okay. And I now have it at 10.5.
I'll let you play it at 10.
Well, I'm not interested in playing it at 10.
You want to play it at 9.5.
Or I'll make a deal with you. You give me a win for Arkansas, Kansas, and I'll play it at 10.5.
You made the bet yesterday
at 2.5.
2.5. So I can't do anything about that.
Right. But in theory, I had then made the bet when Florida State was 9.5.
Then I'll let you play the 9.5.
Okay. So the loss stays on the books. 2-2 yesterday, 16-9 so far during the bowls. We got 3 bowls today. Just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, planning on betting the Cheez-It Bowl, plan on laying at least 10.5. Who knows? It might be 11 by kickoff. But yours truly is going to get it at a discount because, well, that's when it was when I first opened my mouth today. Okay, needed to clarify that.
No problem.
All right. Now you can do whatever the heck you want.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1835 is where we start. Not really a good day, but agreement signed between the government and the minority Cherokee political faction to cede all lands of the Cherokee east of the Mississippi of the United States, known as the Trail of Tears. 1848, gas lights were first installed at the White House during Polk's administration. 1890, the massacre at Wounded Knee. 1906, the Montreal Wanderers defeat New Glasgow from Nova Scotia to win the Stanley Cup. I do this for you, David, because they won 7-2 in the second game and a 17-5 aggregate for the Challenge Series championship.
Here we go. Now that's what I'm talking about.
1932, Fred and Ginger did their first movie together. That's Fred Astaire and Ginger and Rogers, for those of you that don't know. In a very Yankee move today in 1933, owner Jacob Ruppert refuses to release Babe Ruth to manage the Cincinnati Reds. In one of those Christmas classics, David, today in 34, the first collegiate basketball doubleheaders played at the Garden. NYU beats Notre Dame 25-18, and Westminster edges St. John's 37-33. Always a basketball city.
25-18.
25-18. Rocket Richard gets to 100 career goals today in 1945 for the Canadians. Does it in 145 games. That was the fastest in history at that time. Today in 1955, NHL officials wear new vertically striped black and white sweaters for the very first time. The Canadians beat the Leafs 5-2. The NFL championship in 63 was won by the Bears. They defeat the Giants 14-10. It was the Giants' third consecutive championship defeat. That game was played at around 0 degrees.
Wasn't it played at Wrigley?
Yes.
It was Hallis's last title. And the Bears hadn't. Think about that. You know, the great Bears franchise, that's almost 60 years ago. They've only won one title since.
Today in 65, CBS purchases the rights for the NFL for 3 years at $18.8 million per year.
Trying to think what they pay per game now.
Right. I'm trying to figure out how many minutes that 18.8 million gets them.
It's
like
about
5 minutes of the first quarter.
I was going to say they pay about $2.2 billion a year. You start adding up the games, they do roughly 100, give or take. You know,
but they got all the rights for 19 million.
Right. And for 3 total years.
Right. Well, per year. No, 19 per year.
Oh wow. The NFL a really
squeezed
hard bargain. Right.
68. The Jets beat the Raiders for the AFL championship. Namath throws 3 touchdowns, and the Colts shut out the Browns 34-0. Kind of why that spread was the way it was for that Colts-Jets game.
Also, that was a Colts team who had only lost once all year when they faced the Jets 2 weeks later in the Orange Bowl.
74 championships were played today. The Steelers beat the Raiders 24-13, and the Vikings beat the Rams 14-10. Today at 84, Gretzky has a 4-point night. Usual night for him to get his 100 points in 35 games. That's the second fastest in history because the year before he had reached 100 points in 34 games.
Slacker.
Today in 07, Brady throws his 50th TD pass, and the Patriots become the first team in NFL history to finish the regular season 16-0.
It was 35-31 over the Giants in the regular season finale.
And for Felipe, it was 2 years ago today that the Bucs break an NBA record for most three-pointers made when they have 29 and they dominate the Heat 144-97.
Oh, I remember that game.
Of course you do. Born today that no longer with us, Charles Goodyear, Matt Guitar Murphy, Mary Tyler Moore, Ray Nitschke, and Wayne Huizenga. Those celebrating birthdays today. John Voight's 84, Jockey Lafayette Pincay Jr. is 76, Marianne Faithfull is 76, and Sean Payton is 59 years old today. And that, David, is today was the day when.
My guess is he's partying hard because he knows
getting paid.
He is just going to get so much money in the next 4 weeks from somebody. I have a question. You mentioned Texas today, 1845?
I did not.
Okay. They're saying today is the day that Texas entered the Union. 6 months after the Congress of the Republic of Texas accepts annexation into the U.S., that the United States government today admitted Texas in 1845 into the Union as the 28th state.
Happy birthday, Texas.
177 years old.
Doesn't look a day over 173.
And keeps threatening to go back.
Good luck.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Nebraska for the good. I believe it's Nebraska. Former Nebraska player. I can't really say whether or not he lives in Nebraska anymore because the article doesn't say. But Tommy Armstrong Jr., former Nebraska football star. He and his mother noticed their neighbor's house was on fire. Armstrong rushed into the burning home, was able to help the neighbor escape. Armstrong says they knew the neighbor since he was a kid. He saw a bunch of smoke, started grabbing bricks and throwing them through the window, realized they were trying to get out the back right window. He crawled in there, grabbed her, picked her up, and drug her out the window.
Unbelievable.
For the bad, we go to Cape Coral. I know. We could every day.
Stop it.
But a Minnesota man was arrested after he broke into a Cape Coral home and was found by police taking a bath inside. Levi Scholing of Sioux Rapids, Minnesota, broke into the house after a night of partying on Christmas Eve. Officers were called to the home at 7 a.m. on Christmas Day.
A bath.
They found broken glass and no suspect. A short while later, officers were called back and could hear noises coming from upstairs. When they found him, he was inside the master bath, inside a running tub of warm water.
A bath.
Said he was partying with his brother, got separated from his brother, and ended up in the wrong house. So he says. Finally, the ugly.
Okay, I'll give you, you're hammered and, hooked on phonics and all that, and you walk into the wrong house. I will somehow, some way grant you that. This is the next morning, correct? I mean, come on. I mean, don't you wake up and go, holy blank, I'm in the wrong house.
You don't wake up and go, holy blank, I'm in the wrong house. I should take a bath.
Right. Well,
Helgon, take me away.
Well, I've got time. They're obviously not here.
For the ugly, we go to Georgia, where Luis Arondes was attempting to rob a business when he basically went home alone. That's what the police called it. About 1 a.m. on Christmas morning, he was hiding behind a business in Gainesville, Georgia, and pulled a gun on an employee who walked outside. The employee got into a physical altercation with him, who allegedly fired a shot after another worker exited and spooked him. Then he tried to flee the scene. He slipped on a frozen patch of ice, hit his head, knocking himself out. The witnesses were able to take the guns away until police arrived and took him into custody. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, December the 29th, 2022.
Got a lot going on, guys. A lot going on. Last Thursday night football game of the year is tonight. It is supposed to be horrendous. The Titans not playing 11 of their 22 starters. They say because of injuries. The line is going up a half a point every 2 to 3 hours. The Cowboys are now a 12.5 point favorite. They were a 12-point favorite 3 hours ago when we mentioned this the first time. So if you want the Cowboys, who technically still have something to play for, try to keep the pressure on Philadelphia and
Minshew if he starts.
Cowboys looking for their 12th win. They haven't won 12 games in back-to-back seasons in nearly 30 years. Titans, a meaningless game, and they're treating it as such. Last Thursday night football game of the year. Felipe, even you may take a night off from the association tonight. Even you. 6 games. There's really only one that's decent. Clippers at Celtics. When you take a look at the records, LA was the preseason Vegas betting favorite to win the championship. And when healthy, Kawhi and Paul George, they are a blankety blank. Clippers at Celtics tonight. Best game of the 6.
Is that game 1 of the TNT doubleheader?
I don't think TNT has a doubleheader tonight.
Really? It's Thursday.
Unless when I looked, none of the games were on TNT. Now, that could have been an oversight on my part. But I did not see any of the NBA games on TNT tonight.
I'm just glad it's the last Thursday night football game.
There's the Clippers Celtics are on
NBA TV.
And that's it.
Oh, wow.
So no TNT tonight.
Huh.
I'm guessing Barkley, Shaq, and the guys said, we're not working the weekend between Christmas and New Year's.
They probably got it. I mean, a lot of people get this week off, I've heard.
That's a good point.
I've heard that
Your
too.
Rangers are at the Lightning tonight.
Lightning coming off a 4-1 win at home against the Canadians, and the Rangers started life after the Christmas break, getting shellacked at home 4-0 against the Caps.
And there'll be a big crowd over in Sunrise tonight. They'll all be rooting for the road team. The Canadians take on the Florida Panthers.
You give the Canadians, the Panthers have been bad. Give the Canadians a shot at all?
Vegas doesn't. Florida's minus 295.
Wow. Only one game involving a ranked men's college basketball team tonight. Purdue, number 1 in the country, 36.5 point favorite on the Big Ten Network at home against FAMU. And FAMU's 2-8.
Would you lay it?
No, that's a lot of points. You figure maybe the last chance all year for Painter to empty the bench in a big way. I got to think that first game after Christmas break, the starters are out early second half. No, I would take the points. I would stay away from the game, but I would take the points. All right, here we go. Cheez-It Bowl, baby. Spread's going up almost as fast as the Cowboys and the Titans. Florida State's now a 10.5 point dog. I placed the bet at 9.5. But you got to lay 10.5 with Florida State, looking for their 10th win of the year in the Cheez-It Bowl. It's against Oklahoma. Of course, it's 6-6 Oklahoma.
Right.
I'm taking the Noles. You think they cover?
I do.
Pinstripe Bowl. That's at Yankee Stadium. Syracuse getting 11. Getting 11. They're playing the Gophers in New York, for goodness sakes.
Big pro Syracuse crowd for that one, David. I'll take the 11 points.
Me as well in the Pinstripe Bowl, Mark. And then all the money's coming in on Texas. I'm going to go the other way. Washington's quarterback, Penix, is playing, and Texas has had a bunch of guys opt out. I'm taking Washington. I'm getting 3 in the Alamo Bowl against the Longhorns. We'll do this again tomorrow. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends